Hey, just before we jump into this, we'll add a little bit at the beginning. Same as last episode, if you want to make any suggestions or want to send us a topic to do, you can feel free to at the email address, which is both on the screen at the moment and in the description as always. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, both our social medias are on screen now, both our Instagrams and both our YouTube channels. Just if you want, stuff goes on there all the time. We both are going, especially in 2021, both of us are going to be posting a lot on both those channels as well as on here. Also, if you just want, strictly podcast related stuff, recently started Twitter. By the time this goes out, it will have been active. You can go check it out again on the screen or in the description, at Hollywood Fixers. Cool. Yeah, I'll shut up now and let you listen to the rest of the show.
Right. Yeah. Right, I think we're on. I think it works. But yeah, oh my gosh. Can you believe it though? 2020 is almost over! By the time people will see this, it will be 2021. And Happy New Year and all that, but
yeah,
Jesus.
It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I'm so excited for this terrible year.
I'm trying to go in with oh my gosh. I'm trying to go in as hopeful as I can, but at the same time too, I'm also prepared for how chaotic it's gonna be. At this point, you're kind of chaos. What is that even? You could watch a house burn down right now and just openly accept it.
It's gonna be the worst. But I'm actually quite excited for this one. So hence why I sound twice as enthusiastic as I did last time. So that's good. I'm so excited.
I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice right now. Absolutely incredible.
Watched the one film I actually enjoyed, so that's good.
Oh dear Lord, I have things to say about this. But anyway, I'm going to get into this. Welcome everyone to the Hollywood Fixers. I'm one of your hosts, Kudzai, here with
Jack, the other
host who, he says it enthusiastically.
He does most of the work.
So he says. And today we will be talking about. Do you want to say it? Because this is your top. This is one thing that you're proud of.
Yeah. We're talking about the Deep Blue Sea trilogy.
Yes, it's going to be incredible. So by the time you guys,
it's Shark Week.
the freaking Jaws trilogy. No, I'm joking. By the time you guys will see this, it will be 2021. So for those of you who will be watching it, Happy New Year. I mean, unless you do watch it on December 32nd, which will be Friday. I mean, if there is a December 32nd, I will freak out.
Yeah, it just turns over. It's December 32nd.
It's yeah.
Can't wait.
It's something I'm not here
so
for.
I'm already dreading it. Unless the world blows up on Friday. A Happy New Year, I guess.
Please don't. I am freaking out about stuff like that. Just anything that involves karma now, I'm I don't want to mess with the universe's energy right now. I just don't. I am not about that life.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited. It's going to be a very tense New Year.
Yes, it's going to be very tense. There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about for next year. But for now, as we're going to look back at 2020, kind of stuff that got us through 2020 pretty much. We've been binge watching a lot of Netflix. I know quite a lot of people are I have finished Netflix completely. I didn't reach that point, but I know quite a lot of people have been
I didn't do it all. I sort of went, I was on and off for most of quarantine. I kind of went 3 months of I'll watch only Netflix to then being I'll watch anything but
Netflix.
I finished Disney Plus because that came out and that kind of became my thing for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's just loads of old racist Disney films that were...
Oh, can't go wrong with that.
Very bad. There's so many.
It's I guess you do learn about the crazy things that you love later on as well. I mean, that's kind of the big thing. That's kind of the weird thing about us as kids when we're watching films that are inherently racist and stuff like that. You don't really notice it until you start to grow old. AKA English nursery rhymes, AKA Baba Black Sheep. Just saying.
Yep.
It's those things you don't really clock. And it's also, you also find that not just with in terms of race, but I guess humor as well. I don't know about you, but every time I watch a Pixar film from at least pre-2010, the jokes are way funnier now than they were to begin with.
Yeah. It depends. I think it's a film to film. I still think Finding Nemo is the worst Pixar film.
What?
I hate it.
What?
I hate it so much. Genuinely, I have a fun story.
Okay, alright, get into
Already
this.
gonna get shit for this. So, when I was about 4 or 5, I think. I went to the, about 4.
Mm-hmm.
My mum took me to the cinema to watch Finding Nemo. And it wasn't my first time, I'd been to the cinema a lot before that.
Okay.
And apparently it's the only film I've ever outwardly disliked as a child.
What?
So apparently I cried so loudly when I had to remove me, which I'd never done before.
No way.
For anything, ever. And she was like, I'm convinced you didn't like it and just wanted it to stop.
What?
I didn't watch it then till I was I think I watched it again when I was sort of 6, 7,
Okay.
and I didn't like it. So I was like, I'm not going to watch this again. It's horrible.
Nah.
And then I remember my sister was born, and I watched it with my sister, and she also didn't like it, and I hated it again. And then I watched it again with my little brother about 4-ish years ago, 3, 4, and again, dislike it. I think it's trash.
No, it's
I
not
think it's
trash.
And I think, I will continue, I think Finding Dory is also terrible.
Okay, no, Finding Dory is not as good, but Finding Nemo, that's a
They're
classic.
they're both equally as bad as each other. Let's be real, they're both equally terrible.
No,
They are.
no.
They really are.
I grew up loving that stuff. I actually loved that stuff. Like, Pixar had everything for me. Finding Nemo was everything for me. I mean, Darla screaming, "Fishy, why are you sleeping?" for me was like the most iconic thing I'd ever seen as a kid. You just imitate her. You just be running around being like, "Fishy, why are you sleeping?" That stuff was funny, man. I found it hilarious.
Nah, it's Monsters Inc. or nothing. It's just a fact.
Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. was a classic.
Inc. is the best Pixar film. Well, it's that or Toy Story 2. They're kind of my top 2.
Toy Story 2,
It's good. I think it's good.
I like Toy Story. I like the original one. Mainly because, I like to compare a lot of kids to Sid nowadays. Like, yeah.
Or like in Toy Story 2 at the end, where there's a casting couch joke with the main villain and 2 Barbie dolls. Which I think is really funny. Even though it's been cut, it got cut. Like, I think it was in the theatrical, and I think it was in the VHS release because I remember seeing it as a kid and not getting it. And I tracked it down a few years ago, and it's just great. I love it. I love it so much. It makes no sense in a kid's film, but I do appreciate turning the main villain into a porn director after he gets his comeuppance for, I don't know, wanting to go to a museum for the rest of his life.
It's so...
Because he's old.
It's so hilarious how, like, they when you think about it, though, the writers are genius because they know they're writing these jokes and you probably won't understand or have a clue as a kid. You just laugh for the sake of laughing. But when you're older, you actually crease the more times you watch it. Yeah. Like, that's me with most I mean, actually no, WALL-E I didn't. WALL-E I felt more emotional as a kid watching WALL-E. My God.
Oh, WALL-E's beautiful. WALL-E's genuinely
I was an emotional
a really great film.
mess. That was the first time, because I used to, as a kid, never get emotional in cinemas. And then that unlocked a whirlwind of, like, emotions now that I feel towards watching things, which was not good.
I think I've only ever cried... How many films have I cried? I think I've cried at 2, maybe 3, I don't remember. I don't like to talk... I do... The always answer was I cried at I Am Legend, but not because of the film.
Right.
So, for anyone who hasn't seen I Am Legend, there is a German Shepherd in the film. Spoiler alert, Will Smith snaps its neck. It's dying, but he breaks its neck. And about 2 weeks before I saw the film, the dog I'd grown up with, who was also a German Shepherd, had died.
No.
And so I was very emotional, and watching a German Shepherd get its neck snapped wasn't exactly
oh my gosh,
the nicest thing to watch at like 11, and just feeling very sad, and I cried. But again, it wasn't the film. I think if I'd watched The Lion King and thought about the dog, I probably would have cried as well. So
you would have watched Happy Feet, and you literally probably would have start bawling out with tears.
Yeah, I could have just watched, like, Cannibal Holocaust and been bawling.
Okay. No. I don't think so.
No, unlikely, but, a sad times.
Fair enough. So, yeah, actually, we went on a whole whirlwind of animation, but honestly, like, that I don't know. There's always something about animation
Finding
that just
Nemo
gets
is
me.
shit.
And speaking of Soul, right? Okay, this is
I have seen Soul now, yeah.
incredible.
I know you have too.
I mean, I can't review it fully now because we're reviewing something else completely different. But
Alright,
Soul,
save that for your other podcast, alright? You can...
my gosh. Yeah, we will
Save
be
that
doing another...
Save it for your other one. We'll do a separate review of Soul, I guess, but that's going on your thing.
Mm-hmm. We have to, because Soul is just, for me, like, whoa. Like, bruh!
I guess I'll keep my opinion short then, and I'll save it for your video.
Yeah, we'll save it, yeah. I'll come up with some stuff, because I think
We'll give
with
a
my thing,
brief.
like, with my channel kind of thing, I do really short reviews anyway, so it's kind of cool. It'll be like 15,
cross-promote
20
it.
minutes long,
Just plug yourself for no reason. Just do it. Just plug it. Go for it. For the next 25 minutes of this, just plug in yourself.
Oh yeah, okay, well, I mean, yeah, we're already 10 minutes in, so basically I have for those of you who don't know, I am the host of the Disclosed blog. Literally!
I was joking, but alright.
Literally, yeah,
Here
I'm
we
gonna
go.
plug myself in while I'm at it. I mean, I haven't actually posted on that account in about, 5-6 months anyway, but I will actually start posting on it in 2021, even though I said in February I was gonna start posting, but then 2020 happened, so everyone knows it was just batshit crazy. I shouldn't even be talking about bats right now anyway, because worst animal to think of. But everything got crazy. But I will actually start posting more things in 2021 because I actually have a lot of content to talk about. Again, back to the whole, I'll get back into the list of things that you should probably watch as a suggestion. But yeah, I have an account called Disclosed Blog. You can follow me on the Disclosed Mind on Instagram, and I kind of tend to review stuff here and there. But yeah, that's just me plugging in my stuff. I don't know about you. Do you have anything you need to plug in early on?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you also need to probably put it in the beginning of this, so I've already talked about it, but yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Doorstop Films, where I just post stuff.
He's a
mostly
proper content
shorts and
creator, man. Like, he's like
Yeah.
filmmaker vibes. Meanwhile,
I'm getting
just lingering
every
here,
couple weeks.
Filmmaker?
I do have a, yeah, I do have a, my plan for 2021 is I'm going to try and upload daily, and get daily uploads, so...
Yeah.
You know, stay tuned for that, I guess.
Yeah.
If I ever do it. We'll get about 3 days in and then I'll give up. But, you know, we can hope, I guess.
Fingers crossed. I mean, worst comes to worst. If we're not even productive on our own stuff, like, we've got this going on.
I'll shove all this in the beginning anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's all good. We can just
I'll probably
mention
do
it
a
at
big
the
plug. Yeah, we'll just bring it out intermittently.
Exactly. So yeah, we're still in the first segment, as you know, and what I really wanted to talk about again was things that kind of got us through 2020, because let's be honest, with all this talk about, I don't know, whichever part of the world you're in, the UK is shambles, okay? Let's just put this hand on heart right now. I will openly admit this country is in shambles. And we're experiencing a number of lockdowns now again, and it won't be a surprise if we get another national lockdown, which is
ironically, as of recording this podcast at 21:36 on Wednesday the 30th of December, all of England has gone into Tier 3 and or Tier 4.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There's that big current topics.
It's
Yeah,
really,
we're trending.
Yeah, you know what's really weird? Where I'm from, where I'm at right now, which is in the southwest, most of the southwest...
Yeah, don't reveal your location. Someone will come hunt you down.
Yeah, someone will hunt me down, but I'm not going to say specific location. But there is somewhere within the southwest, which is hilarious, that is not on tier 4. It's like separate. It's like on a different tier, which is hilarious because I'm like, how have we not been locked down yet? But, you know, that's another story for another time.
You're a testing ground. They're just going to sort of... They're going to start dropping it in on the... They're going to be airborne.
Yeah, it will be... No, trust me. And also the weird thing is, like, by the time I'll be back again in another part of the country, which, you know, if you follow my Instagram,
Again,
you
don't
know
disclose.
where I'm at. You already know where I'm at.
You're going to Austria. That's what you're going.
Austria, which is
just
the other part of the country
your
where I study
tracks.
for university. It's like on like tier 7 at this point in time. I've wholly accepted it.
Tier 7.
I'm
You go up there and every room's just got bars.
Oh my gosh.
It's like Harry Potter, you've got a little elf who just beats himself to make you stay in the room.
There's like no sunlight allowed in the room because sunlight can bring you coronavirus.
You get sunlight for 5 minutes a day, but it has to be within another household. You can only meet the sun outdoors,
Exactly. That's just rough, man. I've had enough
You
of
can
that.
only drink water before 10 o'clock and then you're not allowed. Basically, just get gremlin rules at this point.
Oh, damn. That is actually really, really rough. But then again, I'm, like, honestly, open-heartedly, whatever, I will honestly say, that by the time we get into 2021, there will be more tiers than there are Nando's sauces. And that's a shock, right? I like to have my Nando's sauces more than the amount of tiers that we're trapped in. Just do tier 1, tier 2, then lockdown, okay? I'm sorry, but this is getting ridiculous. What is this? Like some kind of Scientology, like, level kind of thing? Like, what's going on? Hey, you've unlocked another level. Welcome to tier, 365. You're elite, but you have to stay inside the house.
Just to remind everyone, this is this is about a shark film.
Oh yeah, shoot.
It's just turned into a full like conspiracy.
This is a shark conspiracy
like political
theory podcast.
thing. Yeah, no, we're still in the intro. We haven't even like come anywhere near anything else. So this has already gone off the rails.
I haven't even had a drink yet. I was supposed to be having a drink for this podcast, but I realised that's a bad idea.
Yeah, just make a really big gulp halfway through and have just torment me in editing trying to get rid of it.
You hear me
Unless you
screeching,
gulp
it's
for
probably
30
tequila
seconds
in
and
the
I
background.
can't. Yeah, just set an alarm off again. It's fine. Just set
Oh my
them off
gosh,
every
I
10
honestly
minutes.
will
And
regret
I'll get
that. Like
nothing
that,
but...
for me, stupidity. Just stupidity. There will be no alarms.
I'll get nothing but messages going. There's an alarm at there's an alarm at this time code for this length period. Why haven't you got rid of this? This is shit. I hate this.
No, I promise there will be no more alarms. But if there are, oops. On my behalf, not Jack's.
I feel like
It was
I've had a
mine.
scandal already. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And I apologise.
I literally put on my story, there was this goddamn alarm. It was literally like grumpy teacher, bad alarm, and I don't know, like, it was like a...
Shrek, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The
and
one.
Shrek.
You put Shrek in, because I mentioned Shrek the Musical for about a minute. And I just said Shrek the Musical, and then that's just now a leading point.
Exactly, that was like the basis of that's why people start coming in, because we spoke about Shrek. We literally spoke about everything but Nativity. I mean, actually, no. We spoke about everything but Nativity.
We spoke
until
about
we got to
Nativity for about an hour, but...
Yeah, when we got to Nativity, it was good, but, you know, everything else on the outside. Whoa.
Yeah.
Um...
Anyway, should we move on to, like, the actual first segment of the podcast and not just you rambling about tier systems?
Oh yeah, Zam, yeah, I need to stop ranting. Okay guys, right, so I have this massive thought, and it's like, okay, so obviously, again, I'm gonna stop myself here, but 2021, there probably will be another lockdown. So, you're thinking, you haven't completed Netflix and you need a list of things to watch, right? So, I think I'm gonna talk about this in terms of TV series, because I know films, it's a bit of an iffy one.
I've got both. I've got TV and film recommendations if we're doing recommendations for a quarantine.
That's all good. Like, I think I've got a mix, but I don't know. Like, at the moment, it's just whatever comes off the top of my head, because...
I mean, I can give people porn recommendations, but that would just be
Hey!
weird.
Yo, keep it PG, man!
Look, this is obviously not going to... Look, it's fine. It's
a family-friendly podcast. I'm here.
We all know
I'm
what happened
here.
in quarantine. No one wants to talk about it, but everyone knows.
This is a family-friendly podcast. Again, to whoever's listening to this, family members, obviously ignore him.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so, one of the biggest things, obviously, we're looking back on early 2020. I remember one of the biggest things that came out was Normal People. And have you watched it?
No.
Normal People.
I haven't seen Normal People, and I do not intend on watching it. I saw like one clip and went, I'll watch it in like 5 years. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
You watch it in 5 years, and then all of a sudden I see a review made by you in like 2026 or something, and it's like, Jack thinks that Normal People
I'll probably
exists.
like post a tweet about it and be like, oh, this was fine.
Oh my gosh, not you. You're one of those people. Damn it. No, Normal People is great. It's a show.
I am indeed not a normal person.
Listen. You're testing me, and we're only almost 20 minutes in. We're not even 20 minutes in. Right. So it's a show about a guy and a girl who go to the same school. This is bad explanations, by the way.
They
More
do
the
the
bad
sex,
explanations.
don't they?
Guy and a girl who go to school together, and they have this kind of love for each other, and it's kind of going through the trials and tribulations of being a young person in love, and it kind of talks about mental health and stuff in a different way, and sexuality. It's really, really good. Like, I recommend, definitely watch it. And it's on BBC iPlayer if you want to give it a go. So that's one of the biggest things I recommend. It got huge in April. Like, everyone was talking about it. I even freaked out. I was like, whoa, this is actually really good. Another thing I watched, I recently rewatched it again, was On My Block. On My Block, freaking brilliant. I'm going to give quick reviews of the things on my list, but like, freaking brilliant. Again, I recommend you watch again. It's a teen comedy drama. based around 4 kids who kind of live around a neighborhood called Free Ridge. It's like a working class area, and it's just it's crazy from the first episode onwards. Another thing I recommend is I May Destroy You. Absolutely brilliant. I think that's probably like my favorite series. Yeah, probably one of the best series to come out of this year. Again, Michaela Cole like absolutely blows out of the park. It's about a woman who has survived sexual assault, and it's kind of just going through the motions of trying to figure out what the hell happened, and like, you know, while she's writing how the hell she's going to get through the problems that she does. So that's really, really good. Derry Girls is hilarious. I don't know, have you watched Derry Girls?
I think I've seen the first half of the first season.
Right, you need to watch Derry Girls. That's actually really funny.
I'll watch the rest of it eventually. Are these all shows so far?
No, so far these are TV series. So I've got, these are TV series. Usually the ones I'm recommending now will be available either on Netflix or BBC iPlayer. Or all four, because, you know, for some reason Netflix deleted the Derry Girls season 2 after like a week of uploading it, which was really silly. And what was the other one? There was another one. Oh my gosh. Don't hit a blank. I was on a roll. Another one I recommend is Young Offenders. That's great. That's brilliant. That's on BBC iPlayer. And also, something that recently came out is His Darkest Materials. That's good.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
I'm currently watching season 2. But like in season 1 it features James McAvoy in it, and that's incredible. And then season 2 is Andrew Scott, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who we will be talking about in the next podcast. And it's just incredible. Like, it's kind of based off The Golden Compass, and if you watch The Golden Compass, that starred
I have seen The Golden Compass. Yes.
So you have watched it.
Like
yes, you got something on my list that you've watched.
Of course, I've seen it. Of course. Right. So before I get shamed, I don't watch a lot of TV shows.
Oh damn.
Hence why I haven't seen most of these shows. I watch. I don't know. It's not like I don't watch TV. I just tend to watch. I sort of wait for shows to be on box sets, and then I buy them and watch them in whole, or I'll watch them. I don't know. I don't watch TV that much. I've always been more a film person.
No, yeah,
so I kind of always lean to watch film. So I've watched more films than I have shows, which I am working on. I've been working on over this year. I've been watching a lot more shows, but still, I'm quite far behind. I'm not just long form. It just takes so much time. It's much easier for me to sit down and watch like a 2-hour film than it is to watch 2 episodes of a show. They're the same length, but it feels a lot longer for me. Because then I'm hooked, and then like 10 hours later, it's 4 a.m. and I've finished the show.
Okay, right, fair enough.
Which is why, at the moment, I look like I've just watched nothing, but I have watched stuff, just not loads of shows.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. Like, for people who watch TV and film, like, again, I like to jump between the two. So I don't mind watching film and TV. Like, I mean, in the past 3 or 4 days, I've watched different films. Like, I've watched Death to 2020. That's interesting. That got a lot of bad reviews, even though I actually thought it was alright.
I'm watching that tonight, actually.
Yeah, so it's worth it.
I'll get back to you on
that. For Samuel L. Jackson, hell yes. Worth the watch. And as Lee Jones. These guys are hilarious. Hugh Grant, my god. He's the guy he plays. Oh my gosh. Like, there are some characters in there. And yeah, so that's cool. Pretty good. And it's also good to see that, like, the writer of Black Mirror also took part in this. So, but yeah, no, do you have a films list? Like, what's on your films list? Because I know I've got quite a few in mind.
Yeah, this year has been, I don't know, I've kind of watched, I've done a lot of rewatching of films I've not seen for a long time, and I've been watching some new stuff. So, right off the bat, I want to talk about director Jeremy Solner, I think his name is, and he's a director that I actually learnt about this year.
Okay.
I hadn't heard of him before. He has 4 films out. They are Murder Party, Blue Ruin,
right,
Green Room, and I believe it's called Among the Dark. Is his newest one.
Why do they all sound like horror films?
They're not horror films. Please. They're very kind of. He's got a very realist style.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's very great. It's very grounded, which I really like. And I saw Murder Party, and Murder Party is quite low budget.
No way.
But I found quite fun. Basically, the general plot of Murder Party is, I don't want to spoil it, is there's this guy gets invited to this costume party,
Okay.
but the idea is they're all going to kill him, and he doesn't know. And then he has to escape these people who are going to kill him while he's in, like, a dumb fancy dress costume. Which is quite, it's quite, I quite enjoy it. And then there's Blue Ruin, which is available on Netflix, and is really good, but it's quite depressing.
Right.
In the sense that it's about this guy, and his parents were killed when he was younger.
Right.
And now the guy who went to jail for his parents' killing is coming out of jail, and he's going to kill him. His plan is to go and kill him.
Okay.
And then just things happen from there. But
Alright.
it's sort of a revenge story, but it takes some really interesting twists that you don't see coming, and they kind of make things quite good. But it's also like it's sort of like he's trying to be sort of the Liam Neeson action hero, but he's also really bad at it. So he mostly kills people by way of just sheer, like, dumb luck, or he just barely escapes with his life. And it's quite messed up as well, because there's the kills in this film. They're not, you know, a lot of action films, it's very, like, sort of, you know, cool and stylish, and, like, you know, flip a guy over, break his neck, shoot him in the head or whatever. And this film is very much what I think it would look like if someone tried to do those films in real life, which is I'll never seen in particular. I won't spoil what happens in it, or I won't spoil who he kills, but he's basically in a bathroom. No, it's not a spoiler, right, because I won't tell you who he kills, because it's who he kills is important. But he's sort of like, he's very clumsy.
Okay.
And he does it. And he sort of looks surprised and kind of scared. And and the deaths are really, like, it feels real. So they don't make big noise, they're not dramatic. They just sort of, you watch, like, the light in people's eyes go out.
Oh my gosh.
It's quite messed up. But it's really good. I highly recommend it. So that's a good one. Green Room, which is his third film, and my personal favourite of the four. I haven't seen the Among the Dark yet. I was going to watch it, and I just sort of lockdown ended, and I kind of got distracted with other things. But Green Room has got quite a few faces in it, and it's about this punk rock band who are kind of touring in the underground scene, and they get a gig in this club up in, or this bar, up in the middle of nowhere in, like, you know, middle America. And it's basically run by Nazis.
Oh, wow.
And they play a song that isn't exactly pro-Nazi, because they're, you know, against Nazis, and then they get trapped in this green room where they have to essentially try and survive these Nazis who want to kill them. That's as much as I'll say, but it's really intense. It's probably the most tense film I've seen this year, if not one of the most tense films I've ever seen. It's genuinely had my heart racing for most of it. It's, you know, there's you don't know who's gonna die, you don't know who's gonna make it, and it's really, really good. I don't want to say too much because I went into it blind, and it just completely blew me away.
Yeah, going into
and
it might be is a lot better. It
might be the best film I've seen this year.
Whoa.
Even though it's from 2015, but it might be my favourite film that I've seen this year, and it is genuinely amazing. It's got Patrick Stewart's in it, in a weird role. It's got do you remember he was in Star Trek? He was the Russian lad in Star Trek, the new Star Trek films. The one who died.
Oh, I don't know his name.
Anton something. Yeah, he's in it. He's really good in it. He's amazing in it.
Right.
There's J. Cole, who's another actor I like, who I've been following recently. He's in Gangs of London, if you've seen that. The new sort of big BBC show. I think it's Sky One. But anyway, so he's that. J. Cole is in it, and J. Cole's a great actor. So if you like him in this, there's a bunch of stuff he's in. He's in a bunch of shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
that was good. I haven't seen the new one, but those are sort of the three main ones I've seen this year. But also, I've been rewatching a lot of stuff. I watched what else did I watch? I've rewatched RoboCop like 6 times.
Wow.
Because I love that film. I rewatched Pink Floyd's The Wall, and then became obsessed with The Wall album for about 2 months. What else did I watch? Oh, speaking of TV shows, I watched The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. My friend Ryan, who listens to the show, recommended it to me.
Yeah, that reminds me also.
And
watch The Crown. The Crown season 4. Whoa!
I've started The Crown. I'm on season 1, but I'm starting.
You're starting off good. Trust me, the tea
I'm
gets
working
hot.
the way.
Only from season 1 onwards, the tea gets real.
Yeah. So so my friend Ryan recommended the show to me, and I sort of went in going, it's probably okay, but I don't know. And it had me hooked. Like, I finished it in about 2 days, which is quick for me because it usually takes me about a week. Because I sort of go, I'll watch a couple episodes and I'll go, I can't be asked for a couple of days, and then But genuinely, the show had me hooked. It's amazing. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, who is, as always, in everything she's in, is great. And I hope she gets so much more work because she is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's got Dudley from Harry Potter. All right. Who looks almost unrecognisable, in my opinion. He looks completely different. He's in it. So, there's I can't remember his name. He was in Narnia 3. He's the kid. He's in Maze Runner, apparently, which I haven't seen. But he's the blonde kid who's like 30-something and still looks like he's 12.
Are you on about Thomas Brody Sangster?
That's his name.
I saw him in that.
With his weird little mustache.
Yeah, he looks like he hasn't aged.
But he hasn't. It's genuinely great. It's amazing. I really enjoyed that. We're on topic of Netflix. I also watched the film. Give me a second. Devil All the Time. That was it with Tom Holland.
That was so
you remember
good.
That? Yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed it. I heard a lot of negative reviews initially, but I personally really enjoyed it.
Bruh, Robert Pattinson.
It was quite good. I liked
blowing it out of the park for me.
Yeah,
Tom Holland
and Tom Holland, surprisingly, for a man who, I don't know. I guess I kind of got worried because I've never seen him do something like that.
He's one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, and
but he's also got that baby face, and he doesn't look like he'd be threatening, but he manages to pull off being kind of rough. And like the scene, I won't spoil the scene for anyone who hasn't seen it, but you know the scene, when he has this big sort of action scene.
Oh yeah,
do you remember that?
I remember what you're about.
I was like, genuinely, that was the moment I went, that guy. I'm actually kind of a little worried about Tom Holland.
Where's the innocent Tom Holland that everyone knew and loved?
I'd never seen, like, you see him in Spider-Man, you're like, yeah, he's not threatening, even though he could probably punch your head into space. He's not, like, you don't see him as a threat. But in that, I was like, oh no, this guy looks like he would be willing to kill someone. Well, he does, but he could kill someone. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really impressive.
Yeah, he was really, really impressive in his role.
Yeah. I also watched The Mandalorian. The Star Wars TV show that like everyone watched for the last 3 months.
Yeah, everyone's been going on about.
I saw season 2 of that. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. You know what? It's so hard for me to get into anything Star Wars related because I had one bad experience with a Star Wars film. I don't know which one it was, but I did not like it.
I'll give you my reasoning for why I think it's great. I think why
you're gonna say Pedro Pascal's the reason for it because. I mean,
first of all, Pedro Pascal is probably my favourite actor currently working.
He's just the reason it sounds
amazing.
Great, because of him, I
love him in everything. He's amazing in Wonder Woman 1984 as well. He's the best part of that movie.
That man is highly underrated.
Should go out and say it, he is. Hey, love him. I love him so much. But my reasoning is, so before Mandalorian, as you remember, there was, the Disney sequel trilogy, which weren't great. Let's be real, they weren't very good at all.
Disney sometimes
the Disney Star Wars films aren't great. There's a couple of good. There's like 2 good ones.
Yeah.
But by the time I saw Rise of Skywalker, I kind of lost my interest in Star Wars. I sort of was. I was at a point where I sort of felt like I didn't really care if I saw it. There could never be another Star Wars film ever, and I'd be kind of fine with it. Because I just don't care. It lost something for me, and I was no longer interested in Star Wars in any capacity. Right. Just didn't want to watch any more Star Wars stuff. And The Mandalorian, weirdly enough, was the thing that made me like Star Wars again.
Oh.
Like, it genuinely, I went from I hate Star Wars and I hope it dies to this is quite good and I would like, I like Star Wars again. because The Mandalorian is that good, and it completely 180'd my opinion on the Star Wars series.
So that's definitely
So,
So that definitely sounds like
yeah,
a good
it's got
shot.
it's got an amazing cast. It's got some incredible directors. I hate to say it, but Peyton Reed finally did a good thing with the finale of season 2, and I was so surprised when I learned he directed it.
Right? Oh my god!
Peyton Reed, director of the Ant-Man films. Well, he directed Ant-Man 2. Edgar Wright basically did all the work for Ant-Man 1 and then got fired. but yeah, it's great. I recommend it like massively.
So
I also watched The Boys, which is another amazing show you should watch if you haven't seen, on Amazon Prime. Again, amazing. It's just great. Both seasons 1 and 2 are both phenomenal.
right.
I won't say anymore. It's just great. Carl Urban is the best, and Anthony Starr is also amazing.
Yeah. That sounds
As the
sounds
villain.
amazing.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of shows, but they're probably like I watched. Do you know who Auntie Donna are?
No.
They're YouTube guys.
Right.
And they have a podcast and stuff, but they had a show come out this year called Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun on Netflix. That's also really funny. It's only 6 episodes, and they're only 20 minutes apiece, and they're hilarious. I've already seen the show. It came out end of November, and I've seen it about 4 times the whole way through.
Huh.
It's just so funny. It's really, really funny. So I highly recommend that as well. What other shows did I watch? Oh, I watched Community, finally.
Community. I'm literally on season 4.
I watched all 6 seasons.
Love it.
All 6 seasons of Community. I did it I think on my birthday, for about a week, sort of the end of April, I sort of binged the entire 6 seasons of Community, and it is amazing. And I'm so annoyed I hadn't seen it sooner. So
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't watch it sooner.
it's incredible. I don't know why I hadn't seen it sooner. I think I'd seen bits here and there, but I'd never seen the series in full. But I have now, and it is incredible. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
So like, I've got about a couple more suggestions for films wise, and then that's it. One of the big ones is
Cool.
anything to do with Chadwick Boseman. Please watch, because
Oh, see, he has a good career. He
yeah,
has some
that
good
man
stuff in there.
has been through it all. I mean, one of the films I watched, because I remember watching it when it first came out, 42. I remember reviewing it.
42
on my
is
blog.
good. I like 42.
I almost cried, but actually no, I did cry. I cried watching 42, and he was robbed of his Oscar by then.
It's a good film. And the James Brown one, he was in that, wasn't he?
Get On Up. That was
that's
good.
it. I like that one too. I remember really enjoying that.
I really loved it. I found it so funny when he ran through the thing, and because he needed to go to the toilet, he
Yeah.
ran through the building. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so watch The Five Bloods. Incredible.
The Five Bloods is
And
good.
Mr.
Is really
and
good.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom just came out recently.
I haven't seen that yet, but I am going
But yeah,
to
that's
watch
Chadwick's last
It is.
performance, and I think it'll be worth watching that because, this man had an incredible career, and it's a shame that he left so soon.
Yeah, he left right at the peak as well. He was just like on the cusp of being like the next big thing.
Yeah. To me, I felt like the moment he took the role of Jackie Robinson, he was already the next big thing. But it's quite sad that
I
he
think
never
it was
really...
the beginnings.
It took...
Yeah, I think it's once he got Black Panther, that was his.
Yeah, it took Black
He
Panther,
was on the
but
beginnings
that's
of being.
incredible. Like, the way everything just shot up for him from that point.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy's amazing. And, yeah, no, it's sad he's gone.
Exactly. So, yeah. So...
Real downer there, but
Exactly.
I've heard his last performance is a real good one. So
Yeah. So, and apparently he might get nominated for an Oscar for that, but I'm so pissed it took him that long when he should have gotten it years ago for some of his performances.
it happens a lot. Same thing happened to Heath Ledger though. So.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm just saying, did he win an Oscar for Brokeback Mountain? I don't think he did he?
I can't remember him. The only one I remember him winning an Oscar
Quick,
for was...
let me jump into the research lab and just quickly Google whether he. Let me get my facts straight. Give me a second. Right. Okay. Please work good. Thank you. Heath.
The only one I remember him winning for was for Joker, but maybe that's just my brain.
Yeah, that was after he was dead. I hope it doesn't pick up that. You just hear me typing aggressively on my...
Don't worry, I've probably, from my end, there have probably been massive thuds that you can hear. So it's gonna be brilliant.
He only won the Joker.
Yeah, the only one who wants for Joker. It's really annoying that you have to see.
Should have won for Brokeback Mountain, but the Oscars don't like gay people, so.
Wow. The Oscars don't like anyone though, bro. Like, I'm not even surprised.
They like some of them, but only, like, only if they're not, cowboys, I guess.
I'm not really surprised. Like, honestly, even Death of 2020 called out, it was like, it's the award that celebrate Caucasian people. Like, Caucasian filmmakers. That's literally it. And honestly, I cried so hard because I was like, it's so funny, but it's so true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very weird. They're kind of. I don't know. I remember seeing a thing ages ago. I can't remember where I saw it. Of like the Academy like period films starring old white men, which is what they are because they can relate.
Though it's so boring.
It is though, isn't it?
I remember talking to you about this as well because I was like, I am so bored of seeing war films win awards because it's just like obviously I know history, but like,
and there are good ones, but
like it's just repetitive. It just feels like it's so repetitive watching period history of old white men playing old white men. It's boring. It gets boring.
Yeah.
But that's just me. That's just me being all. I mean, I could sound radical at this point, but at this point in time, it feels a bit like, you know what I mean, like Darkest Hour. I was just there like, huh? Like, I swear I've seen people perform as Winston Churchill like 300 times, and they've all been good. Yeah, but like, bruh, I don't care about Winston. I'm not. No offense, but like, I couldn't care less.
Winston Churchill isn't exactly the best of
He's
people.
Really not.
We're not gonna get political here, okay?
No, but if you follow,
I would like people to actually listen to this without us getting overly political.
Exactly, we're not gonna get overly political, but yeah, Winston Churchill.
Look, he was better than Hitler, but that doesn't mean he was good.
But yeah, shall we get into the second segment? Because I feel like 40 minutes in and we have been
Which one are we going? Are we doing the badly explained plots next? So we sort of swapped around. We have a list of things.
Yeah, let me badly explain this film because here's one thing.
Because we've done the 2020 recommendations and whatever. Yeah. Again, we probably both have more recommendations for stuff we watched. Yeah. These are just kind of like an abbreviated list.
Obviously you will see me on my channel, or you'll hear from Jack, whatever.
And maybe even me. I might pop up.
So, yeah, pretty much you'll just see a list of stuff.
It'll be you talking, I'll just sort of interlude with things that'll make sure you get age restricted, so.
Yeah, we don't want you guys to miss out on the great stuff we've been watching, so, personally guys, we will drop our recommendations in front of you. No, it doesn't matter. If you got any good recommendations.
This is supposed to be a joint thing, but now it's being used as a promotion for you. Lucky me.
So sorry. No, but I mean, honestly, guys, like, we are going to make you listen to our recommendations. Actually, no, but it's all good. Like, if you have recommendations...
Why did your accent change there as well? You just became like a valley girl in like 5 seconds. You just sort of slipped into it.
Ironically, I slip into really awful accents now and again, which is horrendous, but it's so funny. This is also how I entertained myself during lockdown when I was up in uni. It was really bad. But yes, so, right, segment 2. So today we're going to be talking about Deep Blue Sea. After like 40 minutes in. Yes! Deep Blue Sea, for me, like, personally, I was very apprehensive of watching this after Jack put this as the idea because it's a horror film, apparently.
It's not a horror film, but sure, I guess.
Exactly. I have a bad history with horror films. I went to go and watch a horror film with this guy once.
You did jump when you watched Teletubbies. You went, oh shit, that guy's red. You sort of got scared of that weird baby son.
There was some weird things, like, we went to watch Scary Stories once, and it was in cinema, and I told Jack, I was like, Jack, I am not ready to watch this stuff. And he's like, nah, it'll be cool. I hid into my t-shirt
first of all, whoa, no, this is, first of all, I gave you the option of what to watch. I gave you the list of what was on. You went, nah, let's watch the horror film. And I went, are you sure?
No, I didn't, because I don't you're not good.
And you went, no, I want to watch that thing. And I was like, fine, if you want,
I guess. Openly ever want to watch a horror film?
And then
you know I hate horror
did, because it was like you want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you want to watch Spider-Man Far From Home, or Scary Stories. She's like, oh yeah, I'll watch Scary Stories. Oh,
right,
I'd love to watch that.
I would choose Spider-Man.
Won't be that bad, will it?
Horror film.
And then 10 minutes in, it was looking over and she's going, I fucking hate you. So I'm going to kill you when we get... Yeah, it was fine. I loved it, honestly. Like,
you got scared yourself. Don't even say you loved it. You got scared yourself.
I really enjoyed the film.
Oh my god.
I didn't get scared. I jumped once well, it's when it is, but I jumped once. And my reaction was a lot different. Your reaction was you sort of creased up and turned into a ball and loudly exclaimed how much you hated living.
I don't do horror films, I'm telling you now, guys. I'm sorry, but if you hear someone
You sort of went through a list of
cinema,
old white
me.
politicians you dislike, and I got quite scared. It was like an incantation.
I hate them so much, like, honestly, now you are aware.
I know now, but don't
I can't do
worry.
horror
Just wait till we get to October and we do Halloween.
Oh my dear Lord.
And you're just going to have a month of you just
Screaming
crying. And I can't wait.
I did that this October,
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Like, this past October, I spent most of my time hiding in my room because my flatmates made me watch horror films, so it was quite brutal.
I'm so excited for next October. I can't wait.
Do not.
I can't wait. Going to ruin your life. It's going to be brilliant. I'm excited for it, honestly.
So, I am terrified of horror films. I don't do them. I make myself jump scare. I jump scare myself, essentially, which is a bad thing, because I fear the worst. So, when Jack said watch Deep Blue Sea, I was a bit scared. I was a bit apprehensive. Bruh, it's sharks eating people. That's literally me explaining the plot.
Before we go into it, would you care to explain the plot in a bad way for us? Just as like, for comedy reasons, I guess.
Right. Okay, explaining the plot really badly. It's literally just Killer Shark eats people. It's just...
Pretty much, yeah.
The dumb lady presses some red button and then Killer Sharks just eat people! Like, I was expecting myself to be scared. The first time I did jump. Because I was like, okay, well, that was weird. That was really funny. Also, it looked weird. Like... Obviously, for a 90s film, it was actually pretty alright. But, like, bruh, I don't even know if I...
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't think I liked it. I think this is like a reverse nativity. Like you said,
really?
Reverse nativity.
Okay. Yeah, right. So, yeah, I guess I'll explain that. So, for everyone who's listened to last week's episode, I don't like nativity. Any of them. Even the first one. It's not good. It's not good at all. Whereas because you watched it as a kid and you were like, oh yeah, it's good, because you're a kid, because you have nostalgia attached to it.
Yeah, I said it was alright.
And this is very much the same thing for me, where this is the thing I watched when I was like a kid. I was like 6 or 7 when I watched this for the first time, and I love this film. I've seen it countless amounts of times as a child. It's great. Whereas you hadn't seen it before, so you didn't have that sort of nostalgia glaze over it.
Oh no, I did.
Which is why we're getting reverse, where you dislike the film. Did you take notes as well when you watched it, or did you just watch it and you're going to just sort of spit it out as you go along? Because I took notes.
I just watched it because personally, when I watch something that I'm supposed to be scared of, I would not take notes.
Oh, I took notes
through
all 3. Yeah, also I watched 3 of these films back to back.
Yeah, you watched all 3. I was prepared to watch the second one today, but I got so caught up.
Yeah, I went through so much Jägermeister when I was doing that. It was ridiculous.
I'm sorry, but how can you copy and paste
neck and
plot
shots
into
the whole time.
Film? Like, you said it sounds
Don't
like
even. We'll get to it. Let's start with the first, alright? Let's start with the good one, the one I like.
Right.
Because I was like genuinely enjoying myself, and then the rest of the night happened. So, I guess now you've terribly explained this plot. I'll give a little bit of background. I'll give a bit of background info. So the film, Deep Blue Sea, was directed by Rennie Harlin. A little fun fact I learned actually while I was doing a little research was this film was made purely because the director hadn't had a hit for a few years, so he made the film Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone in '93.
Right.
And he hadn't had a hit for about 6 years, and this film was to prove that he hadn't lost his thing, and that he could still make a film that was successful.
He was Gucci,
which I thought was really cool. The film was written by Duncan Kennedy, Donna, and Wayne Powers, the 3 people who wrote this film. The film stars Thomas Jane, Sam Jackson, and Saffron Burrows. They're kind of the 3 mains. There are other people, you've got
Big up Sam Jackson.
The Skarsgård dad, I forgot his first name.
Stellan
Skarsgård?
Yeah,
there he
loved
is.
Him in the Girl with the
and
Dragon
other
Tattoo.
people. LL Cool J's in this film, and he's great. He's LL Cool J, he's the best.
He's hilarious in that film, bro. He's so funny.
There's other people. There's definitely other people. The budget for this film was 60 million, which I thought was lower than I thought.
Was what?
I thought it was way higher than 60. 60 million it cost.
Wow.
And I thought the budget was way lower for this film. It doesn't, I'll get into what I think of the effects, but it doesn't look like a 60, I guess,
I thought it was way lower.
But 60 million. Yeah, me too, but 60 million. I don't know if that's a good thing that it's lower, but 60 million. And the film grossed a total of about 164 million
Oh my gosh.
which is quite good.
It was the reincarnation
It was a
of
moderate
Jaws.
hit. Right, I have a thing. So I watched this and Jaws as a kid, were kind of the two shark films.
Right.
So my nan is a big fan of like creature features and sort of 80s action films.
Okay.
So when I was young, I watched a lot of sort of, Lake Placid, Jaws, Jurassic Park, this, loads of Godzilla stuff.
Typical film
King Kong,
nerd
that kind of stuff.
As a child, yeah.
Yeah, I watched like creature features and I watched like every Nicolas Cage film when I was like 10.
Nicolas Cage is amazing.
Love him. But I've seen lots of kind of these old and you see as we get on further in sort of however we make this, you'll see when we do like 80s action films and sort of like those older sci-fi stuff. Right. I've seen most of them as a child, like I'm talking like 6, 7. But I always felt like Jaws and this were very connected. This feels very much like the spiritual successor to Jaws, in the sense that it feels very kind of like the director saw Jaws and went, I want to do that, but in 1999.
Alright.
And I think that's cool. I genuinely think they're the two best shark films. Like, there's a lot of shark films out there, and there's only really 2 good ones, and that's Jaws and Deep Blue Sea, and everything else with a shark in is probably
Not
terrible. The Meg is fine. I liked it when I saw it, but the more I watch it, the more I think, Deep Blue Sea did it better.
A
A 20-year-old movie did it better.
To me, anything that involves sharks, I'm like, nah. Because I just feel like I'm expecting the same thing.
Yeah, but this film and Jaws, I think, are the 2 standouts in that sort of shark genre.
Right.
I guess because I saw both of them as a very young child, and they both have had a very big impact on me. Because they're really cool.
At that moment, he knew wanted to be a
well,
shark.
My brother, who is now 4, loves sharks, so I can't wait till he's older so I can show him Jaws and Deep Blue Sea.
Is that this?
And he will love them even more than I did. Because I wasn't into sharks, I just liked films, and I liked the special effects behind them and stuff. Let's not get into my childhood right now. That's a different thing we'll talk about at a different time. But my point is, I really liked this film as a kid. Yeah. One note is all 3 of these Deep Blue Sea films were distributed by Warner Brothers, which I just think is funny that they made 2 more. And for a little shout out, with Deep Blue Sea 1, I used Box Office Mojo to find all the financial stuff about the film,
right.
Which is what I use in most films. But with 2 and 3, because they're both direct to DVD, it's really hard. It doesn't do that, so it took me ages. But I found a really cool website called, I believe it's Financial something, but they do sort of all the financials for films that aren't cinema release. They do PVOD, sort of streaming films, DVD, home releases and stuff.
Alright, that's really cool.
Which I found really useful, and I'd like to shout them out because they're really cool. I forgot what they're called, but I'll chuck it on.
You can plug the link in the description.
I'll put it in the beginning probably. I'll throw it in my big intro. It'll be involved, but it was a really cool website, and I learned a lot from it. We'll get to the other films later. Anyway, Deep Blue Sea made money. Let's go. What did you think of it? Straight up, just give me your overall likes and dislikes.
Right,
I guess.
straight off the bat, I won't lie to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going full spoilers as well, by the way. This is just, we're not going to hold back.
Full
so if you haven't seen it,
okay, yeah.
I recommend pausing, watching Deep Blue Sea. It's on Amazon Prime. Watching Deep Blue Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coming back to this. Please come back. Don't just leave us here. We will know I am watching you. Come back, play this, and then watch the rest of it. And then you can, join us in on the spoiler conversation.
Yeah.
Conversation? Yeah.
Listen in on the conversation at this point on. Just a massive warning.
Yeah. Harass me,
spoilers.
Please.
From the start, I was confused. I won't lie. I don't usually get confused, but I feel like I confused myself on purpose because I was expecting some big scares. But it took about half an hour for something crazy to happen, right? And that's when everything kind of lost the plot.
Really? Okay. So you didn't like the intro?
It was all. So wait, the intro with the people on the boat, right?
Yeah, the boat, the shark, and Thomas Jane shooting a shark in the head. Yeah.
It was alright.
Really? Wow, because I really liked it, because I thought it was, I guess I'm just going to go in full nerd. I felt, again, my whole thing of it feeling like a Jaws sequel, in a sense, more spiritual, but in that it was subvertive. Like, you expect watching the film to think, oh, that shark's going to kill all 4 of those teenagers, or 50-year-olds, they look like 30, but these quote-unquote teenagers
I hate
you
that so
expect
much
they're
when they
gonna
cast
kill it.
older people as teenagers.
Yeah,
So dumb.
it's a whole thing. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I mean, obviously I knew because I've seen this film like a billion times, but you initially go, oh yeah, that shark's gonna kill all of them, and then it's like, oh no, the shark isn't gonna kill anyone. It's Thomas Jane shoots the shark, and it's like a cool subversion of expectation. Like, oh, this isn't like the usual thing. Oh, that's cool. I thought that was nice. I thought that was a cool little subversion, and I enjoyed it.
I guess it was alright. I mean, that was like, to me, there were some really badass moments in the film. I won't lie to you.
Oh, hell yeah.
There were some badass moments in the film. You know when LL Cool J is like in the flipping oven and he's trying to get out when the shark comes for him.
I love that.
I like that. I really like that. And then he has the
Cool
lighter and he just when he sets the shark on fire. That was cool. That was very cool.
Yeah.
Although there were some bits where I did laugh because I can understand like why you'd laugh at some things in horror films because they just come across as really funny.
It's part of it's comic relief and part of it's unintentional.
Yeah, so when Samuel L. Jackson was in the middle of a speech and he gets bitten by the shark.
See, how do you feel about that? Because I remember the first time I saw that, I thought it was really cool. Because I think it's a really great twist. I mean, it is quite funny now because the CG isn't as great as it was when I was a kid. He kind of sort of flails about. But I do like that because he's set up essentially as like, because he's Samuel Jackson, he's super Hollywood star. He's the biggest name in that cast, at least at the time. I mean, still now, arguably, he's still the biggest name in that cast.
Yeah.
And then he gets just murdered. Like, he has this big, like, pep talk and then gets just absolutely torn to pieces.
It's so funny.
Like, halfway through. I thought, it is funny. I think it is funny looking back. But it's also a really great twist, in my opinion. It really does. It does something that I think a lot of films don't do. And what I think is something that makes a lot of film, or especially horror films, you're not as sort of worried for characters. I mean, you're not really worried for these characters, but the idea of plot armor. So you initially think, oh, Samuel Jackson, that's the big Hollywood guy. He's not going to die. That guy never dies. Except he dies quite often. That guy never dies. So you sort of go, oh, he's going to survive. And then he dies and you go, oh my god, anyone could die now. He's dead, so literally all these people could die. And I think that's really good. And in fairness, most of them die. But that kind of adds that air of suspense going into the third act because you're like, I don't know who's going to survive. Anyone could die here. Any one of these people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. I thought that was a really good thing to do. And I think that's what makes this movie. I think that idea in that scene and what that scene accomplishes is kind of what elevates this movie from being what would have been just your standard, shark movie that you'll watch once and then never watch again, to actually making it, a cut above the rest, in my opinion. At least in the shark genre. Like, it's not, I'm not saying it's like, fucking, Oscar worthy. Like, it's not that amazing. It's not like Citizen Kane, but it's, for what it is quite good. And especially it knows what it is as well. I think it's quite self-aware. It plays up those kind of like cheesy elements and there's very 90s-isms. And that kind of helps the film, I think, in many ways.
From the moment that Samuel Jackson is gone, it's unpredictable.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh my god, anyone could die. And that whole scene, from then on to the end, I think is genuinely the best part of the film.
The beginning for me felt quite slow. I mean,
okay.
I don't know. No, like, obviously, you had the intro, but then after that, like, what happens right afterwards? Like, from the moment they have the meeting.
Yeah. The sort of the establishing of the world.
It feels quite slow.
No, I do agree. Although I do like... One thing I think, what seems like you don't feel like the same way, is I feel like all these characters have... I guess maybe because I've seen the other two films, and I guess I have that sort of... I have the extra... I have the nostalgia factor of this is a film from my childhood that I really liked and still like. And also the added sort of liking coming from the other two films being absolute meh. Well, two especially being an absolute travesty. That I see a lot of those things that weren't done in other films of the same genre. That I now sort of go, oh no, these are things that are good, I guess. But I felt a lot, or the main cast at least, kind of have... They have motives and backstories that make sense to the actions they do. So they don't just sort of do... The stuff they do is all in character, at least in my opinion. Nothing feels out of character, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what you're going to say is the main lady, Saffron Burrows' character, the lead scientist, Dr. McAllister. I remember the name. You may be like, I know, you would probably feel, oh, she's an idiot. And yes, she is dumb, and yes, she is ignorant, and she does stupid shit that she shouldn't do. But her reasoning, and when you understand her backstory and her motives, it makes sense why she do those things. So, for context, I'll explain. So, the setup of the film is Saffron Barker's character, Dr. McAllister, I forgot her first name, Dr. McAllister, is searching for a cure to Alzheimer's. Now, we find that her dad had Alzheimer's, and this is sort of the opening scene that kind of establishes is her dad, every time he'd forget, she'd have to remind him that her mum is dead, and that the pain of seeing her dad have to go through the same tragedy over and over and over and over again, sort of made her go, oh, I want this to never happen to anyone again. So her entire goal is to cure Alzheimer's, whatever it takes, because that is such a, I think that's left such a permanent negative impression on her life, and taken someone so close to her that has become almost the only reason why she should live, is to make sure that thing happens. So she's using sharks because, I don't know, brain. I can't. The reasoning is it's like they develop extra protein or something in their brain, so you can expand. So you can. Their brain cells regenerate, and they're trying to capture that. So our brain cells regenerate when we get Alzheimer's, almost like an antivirus. So is your brain. Very much like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, another film that did the whole thing Alzheimer's cure, where as your brain breaks those cells down, the drug, for lack of a better word, rebuilds them so you don't, your memory stays or whatever. And I felt that a lot of the decisions she makes in the film make sense because of her goal. So she's blinded by this ambition and this almost obsession to find this cure, that her being like, oh, I can't kill the sharks because they're the key to my entire, thing. And it's an arc that, an emotive that actually appears in the second film, where the character also has the same. And I guess you'll understand why I think this is done better, and why I think this works when we talk about the second film. Right. Because there is I'm going to tangent a little bit, but there's a character in the second film who almost has the exact same storyline.
Oh my gosh.
As Miss Dr. McAllister, but it's done so much worse that it makes McAllister look really great, because she's not a bad person. She's just so blinded, and she's just so hell-bent on getting this cure out that it doesn't matter what else happens, because this is her entire life, and without this she feels like she's nothing. Which is why I think that her doing dumb stuff makes sense, because she is just not all there because of her obsession and her,
Mm-hmm.
The same way as if you become obsessed with, something, let's say, you gotta, write a script, I guess, compared to us, and you need to get it out and nothing else matters except getting this thing finished. You forget to wash, you forget to eat, you sort of forget stuff that you otherwise wouldn't, think about, because it becomes the entire focus of your brain, that everything else sort of gets pushed out and nothing else matters, which is kind of what happens to her, hence why she does dumb stuff, and why I think her death in the end of the film makes sense, because she loses her research, she loses the thing that makes her life mean something in her eyes, mm-hmm. and in her final moments decides, she sort of loses that blinding, because she goes, oh, it's gone, well, I have nothing left, but I now know I can fix my mistake by killing this shark, and then she goes out and sacrifices herself to kind of sort of almost redeem herself, but not really, because she isn't bad. She just kind of makes up for the mistakes. This is going to be me defending this film for like 2 hours, you know that, by the way.
Yeah, I know you're defending her, but honestly, I see dumb shit that she does, and I'm like, mm-mm. Mm-hmm. But then,
I think it makes sense.
To each to your own, that's what I say. Also, there's another thing I noticed about, I don't know if it's not just her, solely, but it's the other characters of the film. And you see this as a common trope in horror films. When you have a problem, why do you walk towards it? Why? Why don't you just run away from your problems? Okay, I know running away is not going to solve anything, but Jesus, some people will be walking towards the sharks, and I'd be like, honey, what are you doing? You're going to get eaten.
which moment are you talking about now? Are you talking about the Stellan Skarsgård when he walks towards it? The Samuel Jackson when he stands next to the water? The Thomas Jane when he's in the water with the shark and doesn't move?
Literally, the
Which of
entire
these, 7 scenes?
film is just everyone standing next to a shark.
I can argue the Thomas Jane one, he knows it's knocked out. I mean, it isn't, but he knows it's out. And he feels, he does it every day, so it's not, that makes sense, again.
Right, but
in character.
Everyone else?
The Skarsgård thing, I guess he also thinks it's knocked out, but it has also just spiked up, so it kind of seems dumb. But his character's the least developed, which is why he dies first.
Yep. Everyone else?
But yeah, and the Samuel Jackson one, I can't give that one's just stupid. I don't know why he stood by the water. I assume, if I'm gonna make my defense, if I play devil's advocate, I guess you could argue he thinks they're gone and he's just sort of being cocky.
Please.
Which makes sense, because he kind of is the whole film. He is kind of cocky the whole film.
I guess so, but like, don't get cocky around
I will give
sharks.
you that one. I will give you that one, that he is stupid in that moment. I'll give you the stupid thing. Thomas Jane, he does it because he knocks out the shark and he's pretty confident that thing is out. So it makes sense that he would stay there, as it is his job, and he's kind of done it every day for however many months he's done it for. But the other two you do get. Alright, fine, you get one. But anyway, so we're going to move on. So the opening, we have Samuel Jackson and Sarah Burroughs' character talk about stuff. McAllister and whoever Samuel Jackson's called.
Yeah.
They sort of talk about the facility. He's the researcher. He wants to come have a look at the place for some reason. I assume to check what they're doing, but he knows what they're doing. But yeah, so he comes to see the cool helicopter ride, and then they arrive at the facility. I thought the facility looked really cool. I thought it felt very real world, in the sense that it's like, it isn't like, you know, in the Meg, for example, it's like, this is like in 50 feet tall, and it's like all fucking flat screens everywhere. I get it's like 20 years ago, but it looks like something that I could imagine existing in the 90s without it being, you know, hugely expensive, because it looks expensive, but it looks like something that they would have built and made. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. It isn't like so out there that I'm like, this would have never existed in the 90s. No one would have done this. But it does. I think it works. Just a little note. Also, the set design in this film, in my opinion, is really good. The exterior sets are cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just like a place they found, but the interior stuff looks good.
It was Pablo Escobar's
The film looks
island.
good. Like, the sets look nice, is what I'm saying.
Everything about it, like, I guess for the 90s, it was pretty cool.
For a film from 1999, it holds up well, I think.
Yeah.
The practical effects, especially, like, when you see the sharks up close and they're practical, they look good, I think. They genuinely look good. The CGI sharks are a bit dodgy.
Oh my god, the CGI
practical
sharks were hilarious. I found them so funny.
They all look really bad. Which is weird, yeah, because you look at, like, the other scene where they've got it knocked out, the Gen 2 knocked out, and the whole, you know, they're testing on it. It looks good, doesn't it? Like, that's the practical effect when you got the big shark model. I think it looks really good. But when they do the sort of the CGI stuff, it's so much more noticeable. I think it kind of hinders the film, but I also get why they did it. Because there's some stuff that like, oh, that'd be so expensive to do practically, or it'd be too difficult to kind of get that. It's just easier to do it in CG. But I do think the CG does hinder the film. But the film is, 21 years old at this point?
Yeah, it is. Wow, 21!
And I can imagine for 1999 standards, that looks okay-ish. Probably passable enough. But again, the practical effects, when it goes practical, it looks really good. In my opinion, at least. Like when, you know, Stellan Skarsgård gets his arm taken off, that looks good.
That was crazy, yo.
I'm pretty sure it's the only, like, practical death in the film. Sorry, I got a cough.
Just joking.
Shut up, I haven't got Rona. I've just got a tickle in my throat because I haven't drank for like 3 hours and I've just non-stop talked. Yeah, no, I think the practical effects hold up. The CGI, not so much.
Oh, the freaking CGI
also,
is distracting.
Thomas Jane is way shorter than I thought he was. I get because most of the cast are tall. Like Sam Jackson's like 6'2", 6'3". McAllister's like 5'11" and a half. She's basically 6 foot in shoes. And Thomas Jane's like my height, which isn't short. Like he's 5. So I'm 5. Right, I guess I'm gonna talk about height real quick. So he's about my height. He's about like 5'10", 5'10 and a half. Same height as me. So he's tall enough around most people, but you put him next to like Sam Jackson, who's quite tall. He doesn't look tall at all.
Really?
He does. He looks short, but that's all. He looks short when he's with Sam Jackson and he's with McAllister. But then when he's next to like LL Cool J, when he's next to the rest of the cast, like in the beginning when you see him with all the other crew members, he looks like tall next to them. It's an angle thing. It's a height thing. He's not short. He's actually decently tall. It's just he gets put next to taller actors, which makes him look short. And he's also barefoot most of the film.
That's a true point.
But he's barefoot in a lot of the early scenes, so he looks shorter because they're in shoes and he's not.
Right,
So,
I think it's just.
I just thought it was just odd. I remember him being taller. But the thing is, but also he's not that short, which makes it
Trying
even
to justify
like.
it for yourself, I can
Hold on.
tell. Don't worry, I've
Shut
accepted
up!
it. I'm
Alright,
like 5'9".
I'm 5 foot. I'm 5'10" and a half, and I'm still growing. So don't at me.
It's a lie.
All right. Don't joke about this. I'm tall. I'm taller than most people. All right, it's
He's
fine.
lying, he's short.
Don't you dare start this. The average is 5 foot. I'm gonna do this. The average is 5'8". All right,
Which
for
is
men.
quite sad, considering
I'm-
the UK need to up their game a little bit.
I'm 2.5 inches above average height. All right, both my parents are like 5'8". So don't even.
So
Don't
many other
even.
countries are laughing at the average height in the UK.
Yeah, it's like 5'8". Well, it's more than that, isn't it? Isn't in like London most of them are like 5'5". It's ridiculous. But
It's quite tragic,
it's fine.
actually.
It's
you know?
fine. 5'10" and a half. I am perfectly normal height, if not slightly above. So don't
In your
even.
dreams. It's all good.
Says you. You're shorter than me, so I don't get why you're chatting shit.
I literally just look tall next to quite a lot of people, but, you know, I've accepted that
You're
I'm
short
alright.
next to, but you're short next to me, you midget.
I am not short next to you. I am pretty sure, like, I am only, like, slightly smaller.
We haven't seen each other for like a year, and I've gotten taller since then. So you know, I'll put a picture on Instagram next time, so I can laugh at how short you are.
The next time we see each other, which will be like 2022.
Watch you come in like massive boots, so I'm like.
I'll stop wearing my high heels. I don't even own any
I'm
heels.
stood on
but
a-
still.
I'm stood on like a big wooden block to make myself taller.
This is how ridiculous
fine.
things are. This is literally how we always are.
Yeah. Just I'm insecure about my height, as you've probably gathered by this point.
Yeah, I literally just make fun of him for it. So you know, I get a rise out of
For
people.
being
It's so fun.
for not even being that short. Like if I was like 5'5", I'd get it. It'd be funny because I would be short, but I'm not Danny DeVito.
Hey, leave Danny
I'm a
DeVito
perfectly
alone!
normal height. I am taller than all. I am as tall, if not slightly taller than all of the It's Always Sunny cast. So actually, don't come at me.
I'll stand back. Just for
Yes,
now.
I googled their heights. Yes, I'm taller than them, only by a little bit. But shut up.
Just for now, until the rest of
Alright.
the viewers see, you know, at some point that you are actually incredibly small.
Shut up. This pic. No, you look like. Shut up. I'm not that short.
But yeah, shouldn't we get on to the next part? Because obviously you've seen the first and the second.
Keep going, I
Like,
guess.
you've seen the first and second.
We've got more to talk about.
Deep Blue Sea
I've got
films.
loads of stuff to talk about in a second. That's what I keep getting sidetracked because you keep insulting me. Anyway,
You get sidetracked because you're salty.
I guess we'll talk about some positive Deep Blue Sea. The cinematography is quite good. It looks nice. The acting's really good. I think the acting is really good. I got lots of notes of like stuff in the film, but they're mostly like little bits. Like, you know, they have it's a smart shark. 'Cause it's basically just a serial killer with teeth. I mean, almost, but you know, sharp teeth. In the kitchen fight scene, I thought was really funny with LL Cool J with his little tiny axe.
Yeah.
And my favourite note. So there's a really small kid. There's the short blonde lady.
Right, yes.
When she gets killed, I didn't notice this until this last night when I watched it. When the shark bites her, he bites her right in the vagina, like straight. He goes up and straight into it, and I was like, oh my god.
What? I didn't notice
Oh my
that.
god. He does. Yeah, he does. That shark is basically Donald Trump because he bit her right in the pussy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he followed Trump's advice and grabbed her right there. It was wow.
He called it 20 years before it even came out.
Genuinely. I was so surprised because I don't remember her dying like that, and I was like, oh my god, he bit her right in the genitals. That's going to be one harsh period. I'm just going to say the amount of blood that came out there.
No! Don't do this! Oh my gosh,
I got jokes. It was amazing. I was genuinely like, I didn't realize that happened. But anyway, yeah, there's other stuff. There's some weird editing. Right, so I have some negatives. I think the soundtrack doesn't work. That's the only part of the film I'm like, oh, this doesn't age well. You know, LL Cool J does a weird rap about sharks at the end, which is dumb, and I hate it. The soundtrack in general is kind of forgettable. Also, there's some weird egg choices. So there's an odd amount of slow-mo in this film, where for no reason this film just does slow-mo.
It's just
of
weird.
Characters. It's just characters running. You just sort of like Thomas Jane runs up some stairs, but it's in slow-mo, so it's cooler. Yeah. So there's that. And also there's a really funny shot that I thought was quite funny. There's when the helicopter crashes into the radio tower. It like is a big explosion, and then it has for about 3 frames. It's just a shot of the woman in the tower screaming, and it just like literally cuts for about 3 frames and cuts back to the explosion.
I saw that,
and it just makes no sense. And I was like, why is that there? I don't need to see a script. Like I know she's dead. I watched you crash into her face. I don't need to see her go and then yeah. So did that. What else is there? I've talked about the plot. See this? I've got loads of. Oh yeah, like I also I'm jumping around at this point. I'm not really giving a concise review. I'm just sort of bouncing between points.
Right.
I thought LL Cool J's like death message was quite funny when he starts talking about the perfect omelette.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I think that was my favourite part of the film.
And I want to know I want to know the rest of the recipe, and I want to make it, and I want to eat it.
Yeah, I want to be able to learn to chef it up
that.
just to make it perfect.
I love that. I thought that was really funny. He is really good in this film. He's really funny. Yeah, he's really funny. Thomas Jane looks amazing as well. Can we acknowledge that Thomas Jane has an amazing 6-pack in this film? That guy looks good. I'm just saying it. He looks good.
I'm just saying everyone looks really good in that film.
Right. Out of all of them, he's the only one who looks in shape. Like out of the guys, at least. I get he was the youngest because the rest of them are like late 30s and he's like 29. So obviously he's going to look the best.
1 year difference.
And he's supposed to be. Yeah, and he's also supposed to look like he's supposed to be a diver, so he's supposed to look better than like the businessman or the chef. But I don't know. When he comes out shirtless, I'm like, that guy looks good.
It feels like
a nice
Baywatch in the
6-pack.
middle of a shark film.
A bit, which works, and his big ears, which again I respect as a man who also has big ears. I respect the representation.
That's brilliant.
I relate a lot to Thomas J in this film. I think that's what made me who I am. Is Thomas J in this film, who's like he's a convict, but he's somehow like the best person in that group.
He was the one reason you watched it. You weren't into the actual sharks of the films. He was just the one reason you kept going back to Deep Blue Sea.
He's great. He is really good in this film, though. Thomas Jane's good in a lot of stuff, but he's really good in this. And he's kind of the only character. Like, if he wasn't in this film, they would all be dead. They would all be
Oh,
dead.
yeah, no, they walk into the water.
Because he's literally the only character who keeps them alive at the end. He just carries it, essentially.
You're saying he carries
Like, not acting-wise, because the entire cast are really strong. They all have really good chemistry. But in terms of story, Thomas Jane's character is the only reason all of them survive. Or any of them survive, in fact.
My God.
He's the only one who's like, let's not, jump at the shark. let's go the opposite direction of the shark.
People are dumb.
They
People
would
in
all be
the film
dead
are
if it
dumb.
wasn't for him. Anyway, yeah. And also I've got, so most of them die. Sarah McAllister, who's the doctor. She's the Alzheimer's woman. She does die. And, when they talk about the plan for the shark to jump over, it's going to jump over the fence.
Yeah.
Because the fences are lowered. I put Killer Free Willy.
Oh my gosh.
Which it is. I just thought it was funny when LL Cool J, because he has like 4 fights with the shark.
Right.
But the shark locks him in the oven and turns it on, and obviously eventually he sort of does that really funny line where he just sort of breaks through and he's essentially just tells the shark how much doesn't want to die. And then there's the scene at the end where he gets grabbed by the shark and it just sort of runs off with him and it shakes him around. And I had the idea that would have been a really good roller coaster that I would imagine they made.
Of course you would.
They just put you in a cart and it's like a shark and it just shakes you around and swims you around. Which I thought would have been cool. And then when he stabs it with his cross, and I was impressed that LL Cool J used the power of the Christian religion to kill a shark.
Mm-hmm.
Or to beat a shark. He didn't really kill it, but yeah. Also, how big was the helicopter explosion? Because the entire surface looks completely like destroyed. Because it looks like it hit like the bell tower and sort of shook the area, but it doesn't look like it took most of that, which it apparently did. So
did it?
I don't know. It looked a lot smaller than it actually was, but it did shake all 3 levels and like break a bunch of stuff underwater.
Surely
so I guess
I
it was pretty big.
Got more, but you know, we move.
Yeah, so I have that. Also, I had a comparison. The CG sharks look like Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Oh,
when the shark comes towards the camera, it looks like Bruce from Finding Nemo, which I thought was funny.
It does.
Also,
Finding Nemo,
they kill the shark. They kill the shark in exactly the way... Well, not exactly, but they kill the shark in a similar way to Jaws, where they make it explode. You know, the classic way to beat a shark is make it blow up.
There are so many things
They give it a good old shark explosion. And then LL Cool J says that fighting sharks in this movie was worse than being in the ghetto.
Oh, he literally was
he
like,
says
take me back to the ghetto. I was like, wow!
Get back. And I was like, oh my god. Like, I feel bad for the guy. He probably has some trauma issues, but yeah. So I think, and also I like the establishment that that's the skeleton crew, and there is another crew, which is why they get saved. And I was like, that's cool. Like that, you establish that happens. It's not just like, look, conveniently, there's a boat going past us for some reason in like the middle of nowhere. But it was cool to be like, oh, they've been here. Like it's like the Sunday night, and they're here, and now the skeleton crew, the other crew, are here to save them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good. It was smarter than most, especially the other two. It's smarter to have it be like, oh yeah, these people survived because they had a crew coming in, as you would expect. They would have other people working there besides the 5 people in this film.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. So yeah, I have a general. Let me give it. Do you want to add more thoughts? I think this is just mostly me talking about things I like, and so would you like to, before we sort of wrap up this film, would you like to give any more thoughts on it?
I have no more thoughts because this film, honestly, it didn't even stress me out.
Do you have a number? Do you have like a rating? What would you give it on a scale of, on like a, an out of 10? I don't like ratings, but for the sake of ease, what would you give it out of 10?
A 5.
Are you fucking kidding
I am not joking. I actually give it a 5.
Are you fucking kidding? I feel like you were offended because I thought Nativity was shit.
No, this isn't even. I completely forgot that you hated Nativity, like the Nativity series.
Sure you did.
But it just gets a 5 because it just wasn't. I didn't vibe with it, first of all.
Alright.
I had too much high expectations for it to begin with. I shouldn't have. I should have just gone in without expecting a lot. Sharks, they just did everything that you didn't want them to do, which was annoying. And the CGI sharks just weren't it. For me, it was the CGI.
Yeah. Okay.
But, however, I will give it to them. There are some funny parts, and when it gets funny, it is really funny.
Yeah.
And there are stuff in there that don't mean to be funny, but I do find funny.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the time where, I forgot what his name is, but Stellan, he's on the stretcher, and the shark just, smashes him through the window. That's funny.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
Oh, yeah. That's good, yeah.
It's not meant to be, but it gets a 5 out of 10. Soz.
Okay, 5 out of 10 for I'd give this film a 7 out of 10.
A 7?
Straight up. I genuinely, even with even with the downside, I still think this movie, I really had a good time watching it. I enjoyed it. It just, as much as yes, it is quite cheesy, and yes, there's a lot of sort of dumb things that you kind of have to hand wave away. I do overall think this film is really fun, and it just clicks. It just works for me. It just works. I think the cast is all strong. The practical effects look good. Sort of, it very much feels like a 90s time capsule with all the sort of the very dated tech.
Right.
There's that dramatic floppy disk scene. I forgot to mention there's a scene where Sarah McAllister is sat and she gets a floppy disk and dramatically puts it in the computer and just dramatically uploading floppy disk data. I thought that was really funny. it's cheesy, but it's like supposed to be this B movie schlock that actually has like decent talent behind it. Samuel Jackson is great.
He did
He's
great
a real
for the
standout.
30-40 minutes he was in the film.
And he also just hams it up. He just hams it up, and it works. It works. Him just he's just having fun. The whole cast seem like they're having fun. I thought a lot of the action set pieces were really cool. I liked a lot of those things. My downsides would be the soundtrack doesn't work at all. I think the soundtrack's really the biggest issue with this film. The dodgy editing choices, like the slow-mo and the weird cuts, I didn't like. The CG wasn't great either. Again, it really hasn't aged on. It looks kind of crappy. But hey-ho, that's what you get from a 20-year-old film. Not excusing it, but I'm just pointing it out. There are some cringeworthy moments. A couple of lines made me go, "Ooh, that hasn't aged as well as I think it should have."
Yeah.
And the rap at the end credits by LL Cool J about sharks was horrible.
I literally stopped after like about 15-30 seconds. I was like, nah, this is not it.
Yeah, I was like, this is bad, but also, no, this is bad. This is definitely bad. I can't defend this. I can't even be like, I'm like, if she brings up this end rap, I'm done. I can't defend it. If that's the first thing you come out with, then I can't defend it. But yeah, no, genuinely, I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's really good. It's better than every Nativity film.
To be fair, I didn't say I loved the Nativity films. I just said it brings nostalgia. Wait until someone pulls out a transcript of me saying I loved it.
Yeah, no, we all know you love Nativity too. It's your favourite film ever.
So, I mean, obviously, because we're going to have to wrap up very soon, you know, I don't know, how many Deep Blue Seas are there? Are there 3?
There are 3, and apparently there's rumours of a 4th, but I hope not.
What would you
also?
Just a quick,
how long are we into this? We're
summary.
like an hour and a half, and we're still only on the first Deep Blue Sea film. We've got a long way to go. This is going to be ridiculously long.
It's because we had a ridiculously long conversation, and I didn't clock.
We did.
But obviously, yeah, time-wise.
Hey, early days. We're still working out what we're doing. The first 10 episodes, this is just going to be throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks.
So
by March, we'll have a pretty good idea of what we're doing. But until then, this is the best you're getting.
Yeah, sorry guys, this is the best you are going to get. You're going to get random combos, arguments, and disagreements, and ratings.
Anyway, so let's move on to Deep Blue Sea 2, released in 2018.
2018. Yeah. Continue. I am waiting.
I couldn't find the budget for this film. Apparently, no one has a decent reading on it. My expected would be under $1 million, just based on how much this film made, and the fact that it got a sequel.
Right.
So the gross through just DVD and Blu-ray sales, and I assume PVODs thrown in there, the movie made about $1.6 million.
That's not good.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We don't know what the budget is. So it could have cost like £10, so we'll see. But what I found really weird at this film was made 19 years after it was released 19 years after the original.
That's not good.
It just doesn't make sense. I just don't understand why a Warner Brothers exec goes, right, we need to revive one of our classic franchises. Let's pick Deep Blue Sea, the shark movie from the late 90s. But hey, so this film was directed by Darren Scott.
Right.
It's written by Hans Rodinoff, Eric Patterson, and Jessica Scott, I think. The film stars Daniel Savere, Rob Mays, and Michael Beach. My first note was somehow a worse soundtrack.
Really?
It's fucking, this movie is trash. This movie is garbage, but I cannot just talk about it. So, the film opens with the most basic text font I've ever seen. So when you open Premiere Pro and you sort of go to type something, it has that base placeholder text that you're not going to keep, but it's sort of to show you where it's going to be. It's that text.
Oh no.
This film is lazy. This film is just lazy. Is the best way to describe it. It's just lazy. So it opens with these two shark fin guys. They're hunting shark fins, and they're both very South African. And immediately the low budget shows because the cinematography is abysmal. Like, it's shot like a SpongeBob sketch.
Oh, that's not
Like,
good.
do you remember in like that's an insult to SpongeBob. Do you remember in like when they did the live action scenes in the SpongeBob show with like the pirate? It's shot like that, where it looks amateur, but whereas in SpongeBob it's funny, in this it's just embarrassing.
Because they want to do it like they're being serious.
Yeah. And there's the fucking they catch the shark and they cut its fin off, and the dialogue they use is they go, "Oh mate, take a selfie." It's a shit accent, but that's a genuine line, is take a selfie.
Oh my god.
God, it's fucking trash. Anyway, half the dialogue, they speak so fast and their accents keep going in and out, so they just sound like they're just mumbling. The boat shakes, but you can clearly see the boat doesn't move, and the characters just throw themselves around, and the camera shakes really weirdly. The CGI makes it look like a really bad fan film. I'm convinced I could make better CGI in After Effects on my laptop.
Wow.
Everything is shot either especially in this opening scene, everything is shot like either a wide shot or a close up, and no in between. Even the gore looks really cheap and shitty, like it was found in a Poundland aisle, just like some fake blood on there. Fuck, it's garbage. Oh yeah, and they use the same exact same shots of sharks swimming towards the camera 4 times in the same minute-long sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, and there's and they establish these sharks have like a button. You press a little button on a little remote, and they then turn around and they're remote controlled. I guess they're mind controlled. It's a whole thing. They're trained, but it was horrible, and it genuinely looks like it looks like a parody, because you sort of see the sharks kill these 2 guys, and then the button gets pressed and they spin around and go away, and it cuts to a Bond-like title sequence with a song and people swimming and a squid going over the text and sharks, and it looks like a really. Do you remember that? It looks like sort of an Austin Powers ripoff. Austin Powers. In that dumb Bond title sequence with a really shitty song, and it felt like a parody, and I didn't understand at first why they try and kill us, but it's serious. It's done seriously.
Oh, this film
I've
is
seen,
giving me headaches just even hearing about it.
This is a genuine note from my notes they were taken. I've seen porn with better cinematography, and that is true. Because it is literally shot like the person. It's like you gave a toddler with no arms a camera and went, make a film, and they went, I have no clue what you're talking about. And they went, make it anyway. And, all right, we'll just frame it horribly because we've got no arms and we have no idea what we're doing because we have the brain the size of the pea. The size of a pea? Yeah. I'm so angry I'm getting words wrong.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so there's this shark conservationist, and she, studies sharks and whatever, and her mum taught her to swim with sharks since she was 7, or whatever, no one cares. And this guy approaches her and he's like, hey, this rich guy wants you to come to this boat for a bunch of money.
Sounds nice.
To look
Doesn't
at some sharks. And she's like, oh, cool, this isn't suspicious. This guy wants to come to this weird private island to look at this weird thing about sharks. Definitely isn't suspicious. I'm cool with this, and I'm not going to be completely outraged and surprised when I find out this is some dodgy shit, even though it's very obviously some dodgy shit right from the first second I'm told about it. So, what we learn. Okay, so we get to the boat. We get she's docking, and she meets this couple, and they're a scientist couple, and they have this little chat, and it's supposed to be cute and whatever, but they're really fucking annoying. And they all talk about not signing NDAs, and my first thought was, pretty sure if you don't sign an NDA, you can't go and work, because you should be signing NDAs, and if you aren't, that's stupid. Not only did it, apparently the couple signed it, but she didn't. Yet none of them read the NDA, and then are surprised, even though I'm pretty sure the NDA would have disclosed some pretty crucial things that they are surprised when they learn. But if you read the NDA, you would know what the fuck's going on, but apparently they don't, because I guess these super smart people are fucking idiots.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, they get on the boat and they get to there's other characters. I'm not going to do the story. Don't watch it, but I'm not going to explain to you the story. I'm just going to sort of run off random points. So there's this character, and he's the diver character, and he's called, give me a second to remember his name, Trent Slater. Just going to leave that there. But he's just a dick. There's like 4 people running this boat. It's like 4 people, and it's not a skeleton crew. It's just 4 people work here, and that's it. On this big facility with like 5 sharks, and they're bull sharks, and they're all drugged the fuck up.
Right.
But also, the whole film is like people trying to pull like the crew are all trying to pull like that cool guy face, but it looks really dumb because they're all doing it. So yeah. I know that this film is like, it's like all the bad things that could have happened to Deep Blue Sea 1 are put into this film. I don't get why.
All the bad things that could have happened, all the bad things that did happen and put into Deep Blue Sea 2.
Yeah. And, what else is there? Oh yeah, so there's loads of unneeded exposition, just people telling stuff that you wouldn't tell anyone. They also tell me stuff that I already worked out from context and from visual cues, but apparently, okay, tell me 4 more times, that'd be fine. But yeah, so we, meet these people. There's like the nerd who does all the systems, there's the cool diver guy who's a dick. There's like 2 other guys who are South African who are basically just carbon copies of each other. What else is there? There's the big CEO guy, played by a guy who I'm pretty sure I've seen in somewhere else, but I can't remember. And he's a big businessman. And he does like a demonstration. He sort of takes them on this tour around the place.
Yeah.
And then he ends up pushing the nerd guy into the water. And then sort of like, it's like, oh no, the guy's gonna die. And then they're like, oh no, cool. And he presses the button, and then the sharks go away and like, oh my god, you could have killed him. Ironically, right, so the main character, whatever her fucking name is, I don't give a shit. She gets really upset when the big boss guy throws the nerdy guy into the water with the sharks that he has complete control of. But then, in the end of the film, pushes that same kid into the water with a shark that's trying to murder all of them and goes, yeah, this is fine. So, also, I noted the guy looks like a B-Tech Denzel Washington, the boss guy. He does. He's like playing Denzel Washington, but it's not good.
Oh, no.
Also, he named all the sharks, because in the last movies, they're called, like, Gen 1, Gen 2, whatever, like, test subjects. But this movie, he calls them, like, he calls one of them Bella. So, yeah. It's just fucking shit. Yeah, also, like, the woman gets, like, worried, and she's like, oh my god, how fucking dare you do this? She's, like, upset that so basically what's revealed, I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit, so he developed this drug, and this drug essentially makes you smarter, and he wants this to, and he's super paranoid about an alien uprising, and so wants to make this drug that makes humans super smart so they can fight the AI. And decides to use sharks as test subjects for whatever reason.
Why? Just why?
And even though he takes the drug himself, he still refuses to go up to human trials and continues using deadly sharks. Where logically, once you know it works on a person, you would then go and do human trials with humans. But for some reason, he keeps using sharks for whatever reason. Also, when he drinks the serum, it looks like he's drinking like a shot of hot sauce, and it's quite funny.
Ew!
And where is it? There it is. And he like to show him getting smarter, he like leans over in his hole in his head, and he's like, my head, and it just flashes equations on the screen.
What the fuck?
It just flashes equations. It's literally just like, look, my brain hurts from all of the equations in my head.
That was low-key me whenever math's involved, but yes, makes sense.
Yeah, it is really funny. I'll send you the clip after. It's really funny. And it very much is like brain Viagra. It is the best way to explain it.
Jeez. That's rough.
Also, there's a one he like talks to like there's the guy who got like the conservationist and all the people there. And he's like, oh, when I'm done with these sharks, I'll kill him or whatever. And in the window, there's just a shark watching him through the window, listening to him, and it was just dumb as fuck. Also, they apparently all the food they have there is gummy sharks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So, I realise we're running pretty loose on time, so I'm just going to wrap it up with this film. So, Deep Blue Sea 2, I was initially going to give it a 0, which, again, it's terrible. I can't express how bad it is. But I thought, okay, there is one thing I like in this film, and it's one shot about halfway through
the film,
with, a character in the film whose name I can't remember, and he's in a shower. And the shot is, he's stood in the shower, and he's got his hands pressed up on the glass. His hands pressed up on the glass. And sort of yellow lights coming in on him. And it's shot from behind him, sort of lower down. And it's the only shot when I was like, oh my god, this actually looks decent. And then I'm like, okay, this could be a really interesting death, because the water's slowly rising, water starts pouring in. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to have him drown slowly, which would be quite a terrifying death. Then they ruin it by having baby sharks rip him to pieces, which was just the most horrible thing ever. It was so hilariously bad. Also, yes, this film came out the same year as Baby Shark and features a pregnant, super smart shark who gives birth to like little baby killer things.
Why?
Yeah, no, the little baby. There's like baby killer sharks, and they kill most.
This
of the
was the secret inspiration for Baby Shark.
So yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10.
I was preparing you to give it like a -1 out of 10.
No, it's getting a 1. It's getting a 1 for that one shot, which is my only plus. The cinematography is amateur and terrible. The acting is abysmal.
When you judge the acting,
all the actors are horrible. They're either like super over the top, like the bad guy, I guess. He's really dumb. His entire arc is like, oh, I love these sharks because he's just a paranoid freak, and it's like dumb, and he dies like an idiot. It's ridiculous. The shark comes at him, he screams at the shark, and it's like, I beat it, I'm its master, and then
what the hell? Okay, I am not touching that film. I literally was questioning whether I should or not, and that is a definite no, not happening.
There's so many dumb lines in it too. I'll mention a couple of lines. Let me just scroll through my notes. Oh yeah, here we go. Also, I have a cold, which is I've been hiding it the whole time, but it's starting to come back out now because my room is freezing. So apologies for all the sniffling. Where's the line? Sorry, I don't know if my mic's still picking me up. Again, I've just shifted it across the table, so now it just sounds abysmal. They use a lot of like stock audio as well, and there's just stock shots. Where's the line?
While we're at it, just know that shark films, my god, it must take a lot to pull them off, because when you think about it, it is literally just a shark eating people. That's what most films are. Yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention, the main girl, she zips up her like swimsuit, or like a diver suit, but it's always just above her nipples, so her tits are basically out at all times. Which I thought was dumb. I was like, it's so dumb and inconvenient. I was like, but why would you do that? That seems horribly impractical.
Man, this isn't the 50s. Like, come on, we're moving.
You're gonna get water in there. Why would you want that?
For God's sake.
Yeah, he gets called. That's it. The main guy just gets. This woman calls the main bad guy the devil, and he goes, "I'm the devil." Then he names a bunch of scientists. And he's like, "They were all considered the devil," and it's like, yeah, but they actually did something right, and they're just a dick. A shark eats a drone.
As you do.
Yeah. Also, they at the end they have to like swim to a boat, and the rich guy does a belly flop, and it's really funny. It's this big dramatic movie, just as a big belly flop into the ocean. So yeah, so the acting's bad, the writing's bad, the sound is bad, the music is bad, the visual effects are abysmal. They are just. If you thought
if you thought the CGI in the first film was bad, this is somehow worse, even though it was made 20 years later.
No, that's not good.
Everything in this movie is terrible, and I hate it. That's my conclusion. I won't talk about it no longer, even though, you know what, I might just make like an hour long
I'm here for
video
that. I'm listening to your hour-long
channel.
video.
Just
Yeah.
me ripping into it. Because I could go on all day.
I could
but
listen
I don't
to you
want
rant
to.
all day about the worst films you've watched, and if it takes Deep Blue Sea 2 to come into that list, on it.
Yeah.
It's the Nativity 4 of Deep Blue Sea films.
Anyway, so moving on swiftly. Deep Blue Sea 3, released in 2020, with a budget of $5 million. The film.
Why are Hollywood throwing this kind of money at bad films?
The film grossed up
I'm just
from what I gathered. The movie's made through PVOD and DVD sales and stuff made about $653,000 just in North America. So unless the movie grossed like 10 million worldwide, which it didn't, it's probably a bomb. Although maybe it did, because apparently Deep Blue Sea got announced like a couple days ago. The film was directed by John Pogue? Yeah. And written by a guy called Dirk Blackman. Just gonna leave it there. It's Dirk Blackman. It stars Tanya Raymond, who I immediately recognised but couldn't pinpoint where I saw her, and Nathaniel Bozolic. So there you go. Again, like the second film, everyone is South African. And something I noticed...
Why?
I don't know. I noticed immediately. I think it's so much... It's very different to 2. In the sense that, rather than 1 and 2, which are set in, like, research facilities, this film is set in an island. And it's basically about climate change, I guess, and it's they're like vloggers, and they sort of document underwater life and the rising tides and how climate change is affecting the environment. And they're talking about this village that's been like, it was 200 people, and then now it's being slowly flooded, and there are only 2 people left as it's slowly sinking into the ocean.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's like an interesting idea of like, yeah, this is them, like, and they use the way they work sharks into it is they're looking at sharks who are adapting to climate change in real time and how they're doing it to then adapt it to humans for when the same thing happens to us.
The intentions sound pretty good.
Yeah, I was immediately like, oh, this is actually interesting. I'm actually interested. And then the cinematography is immediately significantly better. Like, it actually looks like a film. Yeah, the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes, I was genuinely impressed. I was like, oh my god, this is actually, like, decent. I'm quite,
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then, things happen. They sort of bring back the main shark from Deep Blue Sea 2, which they apparently survived being blown up.
Huh?
Yeah, I know, right? It got blown up like the first film, but now it's somehow alive still. And only 3 of its kids survive. Convenient. And now they're all adults. And, they're now being hunted by like this government agency, I guess. And yeah, so that's where this movie is. And I was as soon as I heard the Bella, which is the shark from Deep Blue Sea 2, I immediately got bad ideas, because I was like, this is not going to end well.
You went from smiling to
Pretty
straight
much.
face. I could imagine you going like that.
Deep Blue Sea 3 could have been good. Genuinely. From the first sort of 20 minutes where it's just this new thing, I'm like, this has genuine potential to be a good film. But they sort of take this turn where they're trying to sort of retcon 1 and 2 together and sort of continue the story of 2 and also this new story.
No.
It doesn't work.
Sweet Jesus.
Because this new story...
Don't continue a sequel.
Is significantly more interesting. So what they do is they retcon it. So they say that the research, McAllister's research from Deep Blue Sea 1 was found by the rich guy in 2, and he bought it, and then he adapted it and turned it from a cure to Alzheimer's to an intelligence booster. And then now that he's dead, a company, I assume the company he owned, but I don't think so, because I don't remember his company's name, but they say a company in the film, and so they hire these guys to go and hunt these sharks down to kill them, but mostly to tie up loose ends. So word never gets out that he
dear
did
Lord.
that. Because if it did, his company would be ruined, because it's not a good thing to be out there that this paranoid freak was experimenting with killer, super smart sharks.
It's not.
And the idea is they have to kill them before they breed so they don't, like, destroy everything. So, that's the idea. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the end of Deep Blue Sea 2 does hint that there's a shark still alive, because they have, like, people getting eaten on the beach. I forgot to mention it, but it's not that good. It's a dumb scene, like everything else in that dumb movie. But yeah, so Deep Blue Sea 3 just kind of, I don't know, it kind of feels half and half. It's like 1 foot in a new film and 1 foot in the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think is a good idea. But there is some good moments in it. I'd say overall, there is a couple weird cinematography moments that do some weird close-ups that don't make sense. And there's like a guy gets eaten and you have like this weird zoom in into this guy's eyes, which was dumb.
Yeah.
I think it was in 3 where I think it's in 3 where there's a scene where instead of zooming out, they just cut to wider and wider shots, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how I feel about
What is it with these films and weird cuts? Like, I'm so confused.
Some of the jokes don't land as well. Some of the jokes aren't great. I will say that. Yeah, there's a sort of at the end of the first act is pretty decent, because there's a cool scene underwater where they're like trying to fight the shark, and it's cool seeing a fight underwater with humans versus a shark. It's interesting seeing the shark in its natural sort of state, and these people who have trained to fight this shark. Yeah, I thought that was quite good, but that was kind of the peak of the film. The second act is just a mess. It tries to do both stories, but doesn't really work with either. They sort of forget about the group in 3 to kind of focus on the group in 2, and then kind of keep back and forth in it, which doesn't work for me. Also, there's a character who's supposed to be the friend of the main character's dad, but they look the exact same age. And he keeps getting called Old Man, even though he looks the same age as everyone else in the film.
Oh my gosh.
There's also a couple who were the last 2 people on the island, and they're in like 2 scenes in the beginning, and then the guy dies and the woman just gets really sad, and then she kind of becomes a big part of the third act, but she doesn't really pop up before that, so it's kind of like, okay, cool, she's here now, and she has a big spear, but yeah, and then the third act is really dumb too, because the third act never ends. They do like 4 different endings. They have like, there's a character who's kind of between both sides. He's the ex of the main character, but he's working for the bad guys. And he has like a big redemption. He's like, I'd rather die with her. And he jumps off the boat and he just gets immediately killed and eaten by a shark. And I'm like, well, that was dumb.
Goodness me. It's like everything that could have gone wrong literally did go wrong.
They set him up as like a bad guy, like he tortures a shark, because they've basically found this like frequency, this like radio, and it's like if you play a frequency, it makes the sharks think it's their mum. Yeah, it's dumb.
What?
Yeah, it's dumb. But yeah, so the ending kind of feels like 4 different ends smashed together. So it's like, they blow up the boat with the bad guy on, everyone's saved, and then it's like, okay, now we're gonna kill these sharks. Okay, we've killed the sharks. But wait, the bad guy's still alive. We gotta stab him again. We gotta stab him this time. And then, oh no, there's still one of the sharks is still alive. We gotta kill him now. And then it's like, now we can finally leave. And it's like, okay, I didn't need all that. I could have ended like 20 minutes ago, but okay. It just runs 4 different. It just does that, and it's like, why? You don't need those. You don't need to keep bringing people back to kill them again. They are dead. A guy takes a bomb to the face, and then comes back, and it's like, what the fuck?
These guys really have obsessions with bringing back the dead to make them have worse deaths.
Yeah, and they kill Mo. Yeah, he gets stabbed in the heart.
Wow!
Yeah, the main character stabs him straight in the heart. He keeps coming at her, and she just digs it in. It's dumb. They also use a drone that they then fly around under the water to like make the sharks think it's their mum. Like they're fucking blind. They couldn't just say that's not my mum. I mean, it says it's my mum, but that's a drone because they've seen drones before.
It's a drone, and the sharks have gotten smarter. So what are you expecting?
Because these ones are born with the chemical in them, so they're like even smarter, I guess.
Oh my gosh, what are these people thinking?
It's not great. But so my conclusion is, I give it a 4 out of 10. It's fine, I guess. By like the beginning of it, I was quite excited, and by the end, I was just like, it's fine. It's just fine.
So at the beginning, it could have been like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, and then it just
If at the beginning it was like, this is like a 5 or a 6. Like, it's not amazing, but you know, it's good enough. It's what I'd expect from a shark film. It's
right.
doing decent, so I would say it would have been about a 5 or a 6. It would have been a 5. It would have maybe pushed a 6 if it had kept up that initial good, and if it had continued to build on that it could have maybe hit a 6. But no, it's sitting at a 4.
Mm-hmm. I guess this aligns kind of with your pitch that's coming up now, but is there anything that you expect to make a solid 10 out of a shark film?
I don't think there is a solid. I think the only solid 10 would be, I see, even Jaws I don't think is a solid 10. Shark films are a very weird thing, because I think Jaws is the best one, and I'd probably give that a 9 if I was doing that right now, because it's an amazing film. But I think, but it's such an odd thing. I think Jaws is the best shark film, and probably the perfect shark film, with Deep Blue Sea as a second. So, but I don't think there is a perfect 10. I mean, maybe, but it's kind of difficult. I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's going to take some time to find that perfect 10.
Unless you could top Jaws, I don't think you've got much of a chance of getting a perfect 10 shark film. But maybe I'm open to being surprised. I would like there. I would always like there to be a I don't want bad films. I would like every film to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But
this is open a call to directors. Then make the perfect shark film for Jack. But, then he'll not stop talking about it for weeks.
I'd try and make one, but I don't think even I could make a perfect 10. I say that as someone who isn't that good, but yeah.
This is brilliant.
Yeah, anyway, so should we move into the pitch section then?
Yeah. What would be your pitch ideally? Because this is probably the second time, but I'm clueless as to what would make a great Deep Blue Sea 4.
Me again. Okay. For the Deep Blue Sea 4 pitch, I kind of had a bit of a difficult time, because I sort of was like, okay, I kind of know what I would see. I think the best way to do with Deep Blue, because Deep Blue Sea, in my opinion, is a film that works as a one and done. Like, it doesn't make sense to franchise it. It's very sort of, it begins and it ends, and that's it. Like, you don't need any more than that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's a franchise. So my thought was, do what Jurassic Park did, because Jurassic Park was also a film that, in many ways, like, I love Jurassic Park 2. 3 is kind of bad, but I like 2 a lot. But that is a film that didn't need franchising. I mean, yeah, we've got good Jurassic Park films from the franchise. There are some good ones in there. Yeah. But it doesn't need a franchise. It would have worked as just a one and done. So I thought the best way to do Deep Blue Sea was to take the Jurassic World approach. So don't do it as a sequel necessarily, or a reboot. Sorry. But more do it as sort of a continuation of the world. So what would happen in the next 20 years? Where would this world go? So that's kind of the base of my pitch. So it's a very bare bones pitch. I'm not going to lie, it's quite a short one this week, because I had a really hard time coming up with it, because I wasn't quite sure. Because I sort of had, okay, this and this needs to happen, but I don't know what I want to actually do with the story.
It is really hard to think of stories, especially with this franchise, because it's all pretty samey, and it's very hard to get out that samey.
3, it's kind of difficult. See, Nativity was easy because they were all kind of fine, so it was easy to go, okay, just do better than that. Whereas this, it's like, okay, this doesn't really have, I don't know, but
it doesn't have much to it.
Yeah, it literally was a shark film from '99. It's not going to be. So I said it 20 plus years later, because it has been 20-something years. And the idea is it's set around a businesswoman named Dr. Broden. She's like a CEO, corporate person. And 20 years ago, when Dr. McCormick's research from the first film, I've already forgot her name now. Dr.
Was it Dr. Brooks?
Sarah Burroughs' character. Is so her research into Alzheimer's and the cure for Alzheimer's through sharks has fascinated this character, and I sort of thought my interest was I want the opening scene to be I had it pitched down. Was it? Oh yeah. So it's like a subversion. So it's supposed to be like a flip of the shark film. It's kind of like the original Deep Blue Sea. So it's just a shark swimming around doing his thing, and you think he's gonna jump up and kill someone, but he doesn't. Instead, he basically gets killed by someone. So it's essentially like a reverse of that. So the innocent getting killed, which I thought was a fun play on like sharks going extinct, because they're not. I don't know if they're endangered species, but they're being hunted, and shark fins are being cut constantly. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, so sharks are now the shark is the prey now, not the predator. I thought that was a cool subversion. I thought that'd be an interesting, and it makes sense in the story. So we have the shark getting killed by these poachers for its fin. And then we transition to this sort of TED talk with this businesswoman, Dr. Brown, who's talking about Alzheimer's. And she talks about McCormick's research. McCormick. She talks about the other characters' research and how that movie was about. You know, it's been 20 years and we still that research hasn't become public knowledge. And somehow we're still struggling with this when we could have cured it in, before the turn of the millennium. And she's basically wants to go back and finish that research because sharks are going extinct. She's like, okay, climate change and these sharks are becoming endangered, and soon we're not going to have any left. And if this is the way we can cure these horrible brain diseases, and keys of the shark to it, I have to make sure we make that step before it's too late. So she does a big TED talk, and basically the idea is she is now going to recruit a bunch of people to go to a facility underwater, like the first film. Although I was thinking more, it's probably makes more sense for it to be a lab or whatever. But she's going to go and take these sharks, some of the last living. They're in captivity, but soon sea sharks, and get this cure finished before they go extinct. So she recruits a bunch of people. She recruits some scientists. I've only really thought of 2 characters. The other ones are fleshed out. So it's just a bunch of other people who I'd flesh out in the story. And she goes and gets this diver. And he's been swimming with sharks since he was young. He's, your classic hero, I guess, but he isn't. So he sort of lives on this nice tropical island. He sort of lives in Spain or whatever, or wherever, I don't know.
Cayman Islands. There's always stuff that goes down in the Cayman Islands.
You expect a diver to live, right?
Right.
And so the idea is she comes to see him, and he initially doesn't want to because he's like, I don't really care. And she's like, oh, but it's lots of money, and the reasoning is he's really struggling for money, and he has a kid, and the kid's got additional needs, and so he has to pay a lot more for that kid to get the help because the kid obviously needs additional help with things, so he's trying to get that money together to have this kid have a good life. And so I know doing additional needs in films is quite, Hollywood especially are quite weird with it, where they portray it quite stupidly and very inaccurately. But I feel that I could do enough of a real world interpretation. Like, the kid's not going to be like, he's not super smart because he's got autism or whatever. Like, it's not like a superpower. It's portrayed as it is for normal people. Normal people. So that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. That probably makes sense. It's fine. The point is, he is a kid who needs stuff that he can't afford, and he needs the money. So the Broden character, the CEO, essentially is like, oh, I'll give you a shit ton of money if you come and look and work with these sharks for me. Mostly as a shark handler.
Right.
And so they go over, they do Deep Blue Sea. Essentially, the first half of the film is essentially just doing that film, but taking little twists on it. So the sharks have the drug, and the sharks are compliant, but the sharks aren't like killer in the sense. It's more about like there is a break, and what we find out is the break isn't a shark breaking out. The break is someone lets the shark out, and the shark who's been experimented on and stuff is obviously upset. And like in the first film, becoming intelligent means they gain stuff like grudges and things.
Right.
Because with intelligence comes, I guess, stuff. I don't know. I haven't really fleshed it out massively, but the point is, the idea is they all turn on each other essentially. So the CEO is obsessed with, getting this cure out, but doesn't care about the sharks, in a sense. Whereas Dai was like, look, these things are going to die. I would rather we try and save them and do this cure, because there's no point getting this cure and then we have a finite amount. Let's, work to, let's like help breed them and because her plan is to kill them, essentially, is to get them from and kill them. Whereas she's like, no, we should let them breed so they can keep existing, so they don't go endangered. And don't, go extinct. Because, if we take this cure, we're going to have a finite amount, because then we've not got any sharks to then continue evolving it. And then there's like a scientist who's super into who like loves the sharks and is like feels bad for them, so lets them like escape, and then is the reason for all of it going to shit. And yeah, that's kind of the general. It's really not that like huge at the moment, but that's kind of my general gist. So it's kind of a play on that with they're trying to fix it, but it's about human nature, and it's that when does the line between being human and not being human cross? So when does that shark get to a point in its intelligence where it's no longer a shark, but it's almost seen like a human? When is it equal? Because it's smart, it's got emotions now, it's like a person. It's that sort of what makes a human human. And like the ethics behind animal testing, the ethics behind captivity and keeping animals in captivity, endangerment, trying to save these animals before they go extinct. And so it's kind of those sort of messages and those themes.
See, that's where like the intention is good, right? You've got that's a good plot. That's an example of something where the storyline's going to be good.
It's still a very
pray
early
to God
on,
that
like,
there's
idea,
no crazy ass jump cuts. Yeah, just pray tell that if someone picks up this idea, copyright and trademark it first. But if someone does take it and they come up with some weird soundtrack, some weird jump cuts and everything like that, and some weird shots, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it has the possibility to go wrong depending on how it is made, as opposed to the plot that you just gave us.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I agree.
But, should I wrap it up? Should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. It's probably best to wrap it up.
Alright, so, I think that's all we have time for today. It's been a lot of fun learning about shark films. Yeah, it's been incredibly long, I know. Trust me, the next episode is going to be quite short.
Up for it. It's going to be really short. 5 minutes in and out.
It's going to be... Is that in and out? That's it. Boom, 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 done. It's going to be quicker than anything else. But yeah, that is all we have time for today. By the time, again, you will see this, it will be the new year. Yeah. Thank God we are out of this year.
Happy 2021.
Happy 2021. Boom, boom, boom. I'm not going to get my hopes up about anything. I'm just saying Happy New Year just for the sake of it. Considering we'll be in lockdown anyway next week or something. But, if you do want to watch Deep Blue Sea, if you feel like you want to watch a couple of bad films, I mean, the second and the third one, Jack loves the first one, so I'll give him that one.
I'd say definitely watch Deep Blue Sea 1 again. If you're in the UK, it's on Amazon Prime. If you're in the US, I know in America it's on Hulu. In the UK, it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know where it is anywhere else. If you have Hulu, it's probably on Hulu. If you have Amazon Prime, it's probably on Amazon Prime. It's one of the two. If you don't have either of them, you can get it on YouTube for like $2.50 to rent it. So
yeah, exactly. So it's worth the watch if you want to watch a good old shark film.
Don't go in expecting like Jaws. It's like it's fun.
Please don't. That's what I did.
If you want a good fun like time, it's fun. If you want to see absolute trash, you can watch 2, but don't blame me when you waste your time watching it. And 3 is fine, I guess. It's kind of whatever you want.
It's average. But yeah, thank you for listening in. I've been Kudzai here with Jack. And we basically, we're out, aren't we?
This is officially like now more than just, this is now a series because we've done more than one, so.
Exactly. And also check out the links below for socials, and Jack's gonna drop in the link for the recommendations of checking out the Hollywood budgets of the films and stuff. Just check out links below. It's gonna be all pretty cool.
Do that.
Yeah, exactly. Peace.
Cool. Yeah.